Why would you investigate those though? Like, I don't understand, for the court, I don't understand that. They have investigators?
Yeah, well, it's the DA's office.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So after charges are filed, you go out and try to shore up the cases?
Yeah, with slacking what the police officers, detectives didn't do, we try to follow up with that, do interviews, etc. We do things they don't do, like prior similar acts, case histories and that type of thing.
What's up, Mr. Fuller? Living a dream. I didn't even recognize you for half a second.
I believe that you deserve a smile that you can be proud
And,
of.
That can happen.
I had one of your producers call me one time. I
Have
turned
we
on
heard back
to
anything on our stuff?
Yeah,
a thing called Scripts People Live, Games People Play. I think it was about a debtor thing.
It's nothing
About
major.
how
They
both
just
sides, the
observe
customer and
on-
I think it was a plumber,
What was
were
it?
both playing each other.
I don't remember, like 28, 24,
Really?
something like that.
Yeah,
I assume you want to
called and interviewed me on it. And I gave him a couple of
Yeah.
books by
That's all good. We're in no rush,
Eric,
so.
It's
Eric
just
Svern, Dr.
I
Svern.
really
We
don't
called-
want to litigate.
we
the case.
called,
We don't have to. You know, it's just
So we called you
just extra time and money and
Yeah, it's
expense
on
and
the, it's
effort
called
and all that
Transactional
stuff, but
Analysis.
they're-
And they wrote a
their
book called
analysis is
Scripts
such
People Live and
bullshit
Games People
that I
Play.
think
And
we'll
what
be
did you have
able
to do with
figure
that?
out eventually.
I just called into the show. There was, I think it was a plumber problem, and they were both wrong. And I said, this is the game that they're playing, and this doctor figured out people play these types of games. And they play sexual
I'll
games
try to
and
with
debtor
that.
games and divorce games and criminal games. And
Did you say
so
you
your
got a
producer
vote?
was real interested in
I
it.
have 2 votes.
In Florida, though?
One in Florida, one in Wyoming.
Why Wyoming? You got
So it's
a
like
lake
they
house?
find each
Two
other,
houses
you
there as
know.
well.
Okay, I got you.
It's a little trailer house.
Is the
That
one
was
in
about
Florida,
20
is
years
it
ago.
a ocean boat? That's cool, man.
Yeah. It's
I don't think I'd ever buy a boat, though.
no.
Nah,
Whatever triggers your allergy
I don't think so.
really hold you back.
I think I have a picture pulled up on there.
Allegro works fast, won't make you drowsy.
A lot of my friends growing up in South Jersey had boats.
I'm really glad Mark got a hold of you on this. There's so much
called
misconception
the ass
about
man?
farms.
The ass man.
Ooh, nice boat.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits
This is
all?
about-
What is that, a forklift bringing it in?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
At the marina, it lives on a big pallet rack in a building.
What's that? They just pull it out. Your boat?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? It lives up pallet.
Yeah.
So then they just fork it over and drop it in the water. And,
Dry dock.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's dry dock so you want to use it.
Yeah.
You know, I was gonna say, if you wanna do some kind of streaming deal and give away a
And
boat.
not only that, it's probably
Feel
better
free.
for the boat, right?
I don't have
Sit in
to
the
go on
water.
a damn trailer and have it rust away
I
down
saved
there.
you know, $250 a class.
So there's not much, barnacles don't go on it? and-
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Stays dry, batteries stay charged, gas stays full. And it stays out of the sun, you know.
The Troubleshooter Show.
All right, I'm up here too.
Need somebody.
Now, Tom Martino, the Troubleshooter.
Help me if you can. I'm feeling down.
Hi, Tom Martino here. Welcome to the show. 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. What's going on? How can we help you? That's what we ask each and every day, going on 40 years. You know, we can do all kinds of reporting. We can do all kinds of political shows. We can do all kinds of money shows. We can do all kinds of shows, entertaining. But do they make a difference? The only difference I see is that you either get pissed off or you rah-rah and agree. So we don't do any of that. All we do is help. If you have a problem, we will try to get directly involved and help you. If we don't think you have a problem or we disagree, we'll give you advice. We part as friends. We have really focused on people who have problems, and we have a follow-up from yesterday that Mark went to see. We're going to be publishing this, and it's just dead to right, you call it, dead to right. And you wonder, why do people not do the right thing? We'll talk about that coming up. John Fuller's with us, Fuller Law, personal injury. And he is a personal injury attorney. We'll talk about personal injury, or we'll talk about any. He can chime in on other things, as he often does. He's on the referral list at referrallist.com. His website, johnrfuller.com. Now, we also have Wayne with us. Wayne is a former detective, police officer, investigator, and he does firearms training. He said there's a lot of misconceptions about firearms and firearms training. If people want to sign up for his class, we're going to give away one, but you have to tell us a story as to why you want to do it. We also have all kinds of stuff to talk about, including this follow-up I talked about. Here's what happened. And by the way, our number, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. You can call about anything, but if you have questions for John Fuller, that's good, attorney at law, personal injury attorney, or if you want to talk about firearms training, we'll do that too. Right now, though, we had this Mercedes van that was brought to Springs Truck and Auto Service Center.
Colorado Springs Truck and Auto Service Center, that's right.
And they replaced the turbo.
Yep.
And in doing so caused a runaway engine, which destroyed the turbo and the engine. They claimed nothing they did contributed to that runaway engine. We have further investigated and found out they used improper procedures for replacing it.
And they lied to us, by the way. They said they attempted to clean the cooler, and it is evident in every fashion they did not.
Okay. And by the way, when you work on a turbo or a diesel and you leave residual fuel in the intercooler or the intake manifolds, you have to clean them out so they don't fire the engine and run away. The fuel has to be metered very carefully into a diesel or it will run away. And it creates its own engine. So, you know, you don't need ignition to do it. It's compression. So with compression alone, if it has a fuel source, it'll keep running. There's no way to shut it down. So that's what they did. They claim they did not do it. Mark went down and took photos, and we're documenting it for a lawsuit.
Oh, big time.
This is what I mean by getting directly involved. What did you find?
Well, it's amazing. So this thing's torn apart. We're going to have a nice little slideshow up after the show or sometime later.
I'll do that pretty quickly.
It's amazing. So their contention that when they were on the air last Friday, if you recall, they said all the metal fragments must have been from the new turbo, the new impeller. Well, it's evident the new impeller, which I have close-up pictures have a little teeny bit missing here and there.
They claim that all of the metal fragments in that engine were due to the previous, the previous one.
The one that blew up before they got it. So they put the new one in.
They say it's not their fault. No, they said it was the new one, Mark. They said the fragments were the new turbo from the runaway engine, and they're not. They cleaned out all the previous fragments. Yeah. That's what they said.
So on the new one, you can see the impeller. The pictures are perfect. Very, very little bit is missing from the impeller. In fact,
from the new one.
From the new one. It's pretty much intact.
So it did not explode, as they said.
No, the old one.
The fragments were from the old one, proving they did not.
Huge. When I say huge, when you see these pictures.
They did not clean the engine.
Yeah, these pieces are as big as, fingernails, toenails, huge. In fact, they didn't clean it out at all. They never removed it. And then, of course, when they cranked it over, all these metal bits got everywhere and destroyed the engine.
So they cost this guy thousands of dollars.
$16,000. I have a Mercedes service manager who's been working on these Sprinters forever.
Now, obviously,
he's going to testify. The technician's going to testify.
Obviously, there's something called betterment, and just because it cost him $16,000. John Fuller, the theory of betterment when people lose something, can you explain it like in plain English?
Well, the easiest way to think about that, and good morning, Tom, is that, you know, if you had a car that was maybe 2 or 3 years old and it became a total loss in an accident, the easy inclination is to say, well, you have to buy me a new car. But you're only entitled to be made whole based on what you had. So if you had a 3-year-old car, what would make you whole, despite the fact that your car was flawless, would be the actual cash value of that car that you had, the 3-year-old type car.
Mark, you like the Apple example, right? We use.
Yeah, it's a great example.
Explain it.
Well, if someone has an apple that has a bite taken out of it,
or half of it taken,
half of it,
you ate half of it,
and someone basically destroys the other half, what's left. Well, you don't owe that person a full apple. You owe them a half an apple.
Yeah, and there are only some cases where this may not apply. Glass might be one of them. A big picture window, a big fixed light window. There have been cases where people tried to depreciate glass and say that it wasn't worth what it was, and there are certain very rare exceptions.
You know what kills me about this whole thing is their manager down there. I'm going to find out who the owner of this place is too, but this Daryl Draper, He came on, said they cleaned it out. They literally lied to us.
Yeah, they did.
So they are very dishonest people.
Or this guy believes his tech, and his tech doesn't want to get into trouble.
Well, all you got to do is look at it. When people see these pictures and the debris pulled out, I guarantee the pictures, this slideshow we're putting together, will paint the picture to where there's no way anybody can look at this, including the judge soon, and not know they created this issue. It sucks when people start digging in. And you know what, Tom? I left these guys a message yesterday after I left there. I said, Daryl, I gave them an out. I said, I just went down and looked at it. That impeller is almost 100% put together still. The other one, the chunks are all over the cooler. Everything you said was wrong. Listen, now that I've seen and put my eyes on it, I'm giving you the opportunity. Give me a call back, and let's figure this thing out. Of course, he doesn't call back because what has he done? He's dug those heels in, and we've lived this with 44th Auto. Who was the other one in Colorado Springs? Was it Jiffy Lube or Grease Monkey that dug in forever?
We had to go to court. Listen, here's the bottom line. They're going to lose. We'll keep you informed. If you need help like this or just minor help, we'll help you. We got a follow-up from a couple months ago from with Nick. Nick, what's going on with you? Nick.
We had contacted you in February. My grandfather had got locked into a 20-year lease on a solar system.
Yes.
When he was 95 years old. I believe Mark was on that day with Daphne, as a matter of fact. So you guys got us in touch with the solar company, got us in touch with their PR department. They were absolutely accommodating and decent. They wouldn't necessarily admit fault. However, they allowed a no-cost dissolution of the contract, repaired the roofing where it was damaged from having the system installed, and have completely come together to make a simple resolution to what could have been a really complex problem.
Do you feel that it had anything to do with you calling us, or do you think they would have done that anyway?
Had everything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were on top of them in a flash, and then I had already contacted them, and I immediately got a response from their legal department, and they were incredibly accommodating, wanted to make sure they protected their company name, and though it took a little bit of time to get it fully resolved, they got it resolved. Well, I appreciate it. Hold on a second. Suzanne would like to talk to you if possible, and then we're going to continue all these festivities. Our number 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255.
A 20-year lease.
Yeah, I know.
For a 95-year-old man.
Okay, but they do loans like that, too. A guy can go in at 90 and refi for 30 years. It happens.
I know. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it to some poor guy. That's crazy.
Now, John Fuller, Fuller Law, are there any changes in any laws we need to know about coming due this year? Usually this is the time, you know, May, June, July. I mean, anything new coming due that would affect people and injuries at all?
You know, thankfully we squeaked through the legislature this year without any major changes, and that was huge. There were some significant efforts to make several changes that would have hurt consumers.
And what? Give me one that would have hurt that didn't.
Well, as an example, Tom, we've talked about this before. We had a period of time where uninsured motorist carriers were able to take an offset for the amount that they had paid in medical payments benefits.
Right.
And as predicted, the Supreme Court straightened that out and stopped them from doing that. Of course, some of our legislatures decided to submit a bill that would have restored the ability to take that offset, and thankfully that failed out of committee and went away. So we continue to battle on every front to protect consumers.
I'm Tom Martino, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Don't forget Frank Duran, the real estate man. If you need anything to do with real estate, Frank Duran, therealestateman.com, 303-920-1622. You will never do better buying or selling. And he services the entire Denver metro area. By the way, we do have someone in the Springs we love very much. If you look up the referral list in the Springs, you'll find Stephanie Thomas. But Frank Duran, he will refer you if you call him from the Springs. But he's a great guy. He works all the way, all along the Front Range from Denver up. We have more coming right up.
I'll be right back.
From the L&L.
I saw that too on Facebook. Is it choppy on here?
Yeah. Like I said, right there, I did. I can try to reload
across the entire Mile High City freeway system.
Yeah,
On I-25, 970 through the heart of town.
I got to get her phone fixed after work.
Did you take it today? Whoa, that's probably why I haven't heard from her. For one reason or another.
And then I had something else. I don't remember. Mark, when you come back, just start talking about the class. That'll be a good thing. All right.
Yeah, he's on line 3.
Okay.
Dan has a follow-up, so remember to hit the on and have your...
Hey, how?
Spring into summer at the Broadmoor with their spring getaway package. April offer rate starting at $120 per person based on double occupancy. Colorado Springs, a short drive from Denver for a family escape. Visit Broadmoor.com.
Wayne, when they call that 720, is that your cell phone? Is there someone answering that number now?
No, there's not.
Okay. Can they leave a message?
Yeah, they can.
All right.
Is it gonna ring right now?
Yeah, I forgot the ring on.
Yeah, because that could be, that might fill up pretty quick, we'll see.
Time to get relief, Larson Tax Relief. I know Ron and Jack Larson and can vouch for their professionalism.
That WDCarryFirearms.com is a good one too. I can send out brochures, more info, descriptions, class descriptions, and all that kind of stuff.
What range do you work out of?
I got a couple of gun stores that have classrooms.
Oh, okay.
One is Shooter Ready up off 70th in Washington. Great guy, one up there. I sent a lot of female students there because he won't sell them a gun that doesn't fit their hand they can't use.
Oh, okay.
The other one is in Old Town Arvada, Mountain Range Armory. And then I have several ranges, a couple outdoor ranges and a couple indoor ranges that I can use for live fire.
Gotcha.
But one of the things I want to get in there real quick is one of my pet peeves is kid safety and guns. And unsecured guns are a problem. And I teach Eddie Eagle, NRA Eddie Eagle, and there's also ProjectChildSafe.org, which is a good one for people to go to. So I definitely want to get that in there because a lot of people misunderstand that. They say Eddie Eagle, NRA, and they think, oh, I don't want my kids to learn how to use guns, but you don't teach them how to drive a car either, but you teach them not to run on the street.
Yeah. So the 220 on the nightstand is a bad thing?
Yeah.
Call the innovators of the osteo relief method for
Happens every year, man.
to help keep you active and pain-free today. Call 800-578
It does.
your risk-free screening.
My daughter grew up shooting more guns than anybody I know.
Are you a hunter, John?
And I'm sure somebody's going to call and want to get into the politics of things, numbers, and all that kind of stuff. And
Always.
I usually just defer that, like, you know, one of the best safety things you can do with guns is get educated, get some training.
Mandatory.
Take aim. 720-895-0500.
Yeah.
Purchase your next home with as little as 1% down with no mortgage insurance.
You see some
Fargo
idiots
rates,
out
that
there in
means
the
you can
world
buy a
on both
$300,000
sides
house
of
with
that issue,
$3,000 down and payments less than you were paying for rent. Call 720-895-0500 to find out why more Coloradans are using
No, not on this show.
to refinance or purchase their
You know, it's kind of funny, though, if you,
and we will personalize your
it's so hard to argue against.
We offer you a
They start limiting the guns.
fast close and up-to-date
It's like they have this idea that these gang members are going to show up and hand over their weapons or something.
Yeah.
Well, I forget the guy's name. I looked just yesterday. I can find it. Damn YouTube. Mike Cox is his name. He's the guy that goes on campuses and is like, would you support the signing of this petition right here? We're going to take the guns away from people. And then he just keeps going on and on and on. Well, we're going to lock up the gun owners and stuff. And they're just like, okay, I'll sign that. And you're just like,
30%.
You know what you're signing?
what the fuck? You know, you're goddamn teenagers on a college campus that have no bigger clue than to sit there and sign something like that.
That's like businesses that have no guns allowed signs. To me, you're just inviting criminals. That's the safest place for them to go.
Right.
$1,000.
I just baffled at what the stupidity of people. No thought whatsoever. You know, yeah, we're going to get rid of the Bill of Rights. Yeah, let's get rid of it.
Nothing else is up.
I think one of the best
right, hold on,
concerns might be to strengthen the gun laws. Use the gun
All right, folks, 303-713-8255. I want to ask Wayne Nelson, our common man. You can find him on the referralist.com. WDN Firearms Training. I think we should try to get Martino in one of these classes. I think he's already taken one. I'm not sure if he's, I think he's got a concealed carry.
Yeah, he told me he took a class.
I think he did years ago. I think we should try to get him in one and see how many people we can get signed up. What do you think?
Absolutely.
And then we're giving away one for free. How do people, if they want to do it? But tell me about the course real quick.
Well, I have several courses. The concealed handgun courses, which most people are interested in, I've taken that course and combined a heavy emphasis on gun safety in addition to the concealed course. And that teaches you how to safely and properly handle a firearm, how to holster and draw, how to load and unload, and store your firearms safely.
I'm trying to, I think you should go to one of these classes.
Yeah.
Do you have a concealed?
No.
I thought you did. Did you years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people mistake concealed carry with Rambo. No, they do. They think, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not completely one way or the other. I think there are a lot of people that have concealed carries that have a Rambo attitude. And then I think there are those who truly are afraid and want to protect themselves. But I don't know. I'm split on it, on whether it does any good.
You know, I've had mine forever. I never carry. Very, very rarely. Maybe if I'm driving cross country.
I think the course is wonderful, whether you decide, I'm serious, whether you want to get a concealed carry or not. I just think the safety aspect and knowing about firearms is important.
Wayne, what's the best way for someone to sign up?
Well, one of the best ways is either to call me on my telephone or to send an email to wd@carryfirearms.com. And I will reply with the course schedules and course descriptions.
WD at what?
Carryfirearms.com.
Okay. Now, you know, why do you think there is such an anti-firearm sentiment in this country? Why do you think so? I think if you took a poll, I think the majority think firearms are evil, bad, wrong. I don't think the majority. I don't even know. Have we ever had a referendum on it? I don't know how people feel, but I get the sense. It may be just because liberals are louder. I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I always saw it like 50-50, but I don't know.
It might be. Do you know? Does anyone have a guess on whether or not the sentiment for or against firearms? I mean, even for self-protection. What's amazing, and most of the people who are against guns have people around them protecting them with guns.
Tom, I think we had a referendum when we enacted the Second Amendment, and it's been the same ever since. I think you've got gun ownership right now is somewhere in excess
all-time high
of 300 million firearms in the United States right now. And if you've got a population of roughly that same number, do the math. I think the numbers strongly support that America is still pro-gun, is still pro-gun ownership. There are differences of opinion as far as, you know, how and where and the extent to which people can carry in public. But, you know, I think you hit it on the head when you said the liberals are louder about the issue right now. But
and I, like I said, I don't know. Are there stats that say if you carry a handgun, you're safer?
Yes, there are.
I mean, really?
Yes, and we can rely on some FBI statistics. People are killed every year for a number of reasons, including suicide, accidents, and so forth. And firearms-related deaths are small compared to that.
I mean, firearms are big, but like you said, what they don't do when they quote firearm deaths is tell you how many were justified by police, how many were accidents, how many were suicides. I mean, they don't really tell you that statistic. They just talk about how many people are dead. Now, some of those people you want dead because the police shot them dead. Other people shot themselves dead, which is unfortunate. And then others are just gang on gang and violence. I mean, you know, so really, you know, statistics just saying deaths is wrong. I mean, just deaths by firearms, you have to qualify it. But again, people can use statistics for anything they want. You know, that's why I hope people appreciate the show. I don't try to bend you one way or another. Anyway, but the class, I don't think that class could ever be a bad idea. I mean, is the goal here to arm people? I mean, is that class for arming people? It's for giving people the choice, right?
I think it's basically more for safety, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you have kids in the house, anything.
Right. And
but you don't need a permit to have guns in your house to protect yourself. You don't need a permit.
No, I know that.
You don't need a permit to have a gun. Do you have to have, if you have an open gun If it's open, you don't need a permit.
No.
It's only
Well,
to conceal
there are
it.
some venues that do have municipal ordinances on open carry. The state law allows it.
Okay, but you can't in some cities.
Right.
We got friends whose dad open carries everywhere, and to me, it's just bizarro.
Yeah.
He looks
Now-
like a six-shooter.
Daniel has a follow-up. And Daryl, Daryl, I want to explain this. Daryl, turn your radio down. I'm going to put it on hold. Okay, good. Turn your Daryl called yesterday. Daryl has a feud going on with this mail lady. This mail carrier lady, she's, I guess, hard of hearing, and they have a feud going. They each posted restraining orders against each other. And he's the manager of a trailer park, and the woman first posted one against him claiming assault.
And she urinated her pants because of him.
She said he made her pee her pants because she was so afraid. And then also that, this whole thing is getting crazy. She doesn't want him around. He can't be within so many feet when she delivers the mail. And I don't know, the whole thing. And she refuses to deliver parcels to the trailer park. She says she's going to deliver them to the office, and he has to distribute them. And just a whole host of things.
You can't make it up, John.
There's just bad blood here. There's bad blood. And so what's going on, Dan? Did you check it out for Daryl?
Yeah, I did. And Daryl, I didn't realize that you had put a restraining order on her also. And that's what I was told by the media relations guy. And they said that she has been reassigned to try to clean this up. Did you know that?
No, I wasn't aware of that. No, I haven't filed a restraining order against her yet.
You didn't? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. We thought you did.
And they said that too. The Postal Service said that.
Did the Postal Service file this restraining order for her?
No, she did that on her own.
What did the Postal Service think about this feud?
He didn't think that it was probably the right way for her to do that.
Her supervisor?
Correct.
Well, the good news is it sounds like she's not going there anymore.
And that's correct.
Tell me what's happening.
They reassigned her. So
hey, Daryl, so we did manage to make a change here.
That's a good plus for me because it was creating a lot of stress and grief for me to try and dodge her.
And they realized that your office is right next to them and you work there, and that they actually were pretty accommodating on that. So
that's very nice of them.
Right. So you shouldn't be seeing her again.
I'm sure we'll get calls on this, but some postal employees are really strange.
Well, are you saying it's the job?
I don't know what it is, but some of the oddest calls we get involve postal people.
I believe, I never thought this before, but I do believe that certain jobs require certain personalities. I do.
Police officers.
Yep. And I'm happy they have that attitude when it comes to protection. I don't like it when it comes to community policing. I think they can go overboard because of their attitude, but at the same time, you need a certain bit of that attitude when it comes to protecting people. So police officers definitely take a certain personality. I think the same thing goes for postal workers.
Well, like Dan said, some of them are just nutty.
Dan said that?
Yeah.
I never said that.
Dan. Anyway, what about attorneys?
Newman.
What about attorneys?
It's a certain class.
What about
folks.
attorneys? Do you think attorneys have a certain
It depends what kind of attorney. I think some DAs and stuff have some kind of things in common.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of attorneys on our referral list, John's completely different than, say, Ryan Wood. They're not even similar.
Not close. No.
So, but a lot
criminal
of the DAs...
Criminal defense attorneys are a totally different breed, I think, than, let's say, a civil or a real estate attorney. I really think it takes a different personality. They've seen so much and heard so much. They're kind of jaded, I think. I do think you get a bit jaded. What do you think it takes, John, to be a personal injury attorney? I'm serious. Is there a certain, or don't you think there's a personality?
I don't know that there's a particular personality, but it takes somebody that's willing to fight for the little guy and to put it all on the line and to finance and be willing to go the distance.
Once you take the case.
Right.
Is there a lot of lying that goes on with personal injury on all sides?
A lot of lying?
Yeah. Do you ever, is it for example, there are a lot of, I think in criminal defense work, there's a lot of lying that goes on. I mean, in general. I'm just saying, in personal injury, I'm seriously asking you, do you find people exaggerating a bit about their injuries or not? Or just the opposite?
Well, of course, there are some people in every, in every population that are going to be trying to take advantage of the situation. There are certain demographics of people that are, I think, more given to take advantage of a situation. And I know in my practice...
So it's no more or less, you're saying, in the personal injury field. It's no more or less. There are some people that do and some people that don't.
Yes.
Okay.
I think... As far as my practice, I try to weed those people out.
Sure.
I'm not interested in those cases.
Sure.
And when I find out that, and it's happened that I've had clients over the years that I discover have been less than truthful about things with me, and I immediately jettison them out, and I don't represent them anymore.
303-713-TALK, 713-8255. We have a lot more coming right up. Let's talk about Buy and Build, a place that I love talking about because Buy and Build
I gotta
buys
talk about
tons
this,
of stuff
Daryl guy.
and passes.
He just emailed saying I'm being dishonest. So.
But you're being dishonest?
Yeah, he says I didn't call him yesterday. I just double checked. Well, he's the manager down in the Springs.
Oh, I thought you meant the other Daryl. His brother Daryl.
His brother Daryl.
Also, Tom, on the concealed carry, you don't have to have a permit in your own home, in your vehicle, or in your own business.
But if it's hidden in your vehicle, you do, right?
I'm sorry?
If it's hidden in your vehicle, you don't have to have a permit.
No.
You can conceal.
Okay, so you can carry it anywhere in your body, anywhere in your car.
While you're in your car.
While you're in your car, yeah. Or you can leave it in your car. Not smart. You can't bring it onto school property in your car. Public school.
You can't walk into a bank with it. You can't walk into any federal building, right?
Any federal building. Post offices is a big one.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, post office. I carried for I got my permit. In fact, I just renewed mine not long ago, but I don't even know why I do it. I just never carry.
Well, some classes, like, I'll give you an example, Tanner Gun Shows, it's free concealed carry class. They go in there and they tell you for an hour or so about the concealed carry laws and use the force laws, and they walk out of there having never touched a gun. They don't know how to holster it, they don't know how to draw it, they don't know how to store it, they don't know how to load it or unload it safely.
You're going to get hate mail.
Get what you pay for.
About the post people.
No.
You got to admit, every time we get a call about it, it's always nutty.
But the media relations guy was spectacular good, and even her station manager was good.
My guy at the office is deaf and mute. And he'll come in sometimes and need to get like a certified letter signed or something, and he's out there. Well, like the first time he did it, nobody knew what the hell his problem was. We'd always just like, hey, how you doing? And he'd go, whoa. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
Oh, right, you don't know.
And then finally we realized what the problem was, and ever since then it's been fine. But he cannot.
Well, that's what this lady's like. She can barely talk.
Right. You really don't have to be able to talk. You can just kind of mumble and point, and you can get everything done you need to.
The woman that does our neighborhood, I get so frustrated at. I can't even think of her. She won't bring packages to the door. She ties them to her mailbox, which is like, an eighth of a mile away.
Ours drive right up, and they'll bring them to the front door.
They used to. I go down there. I went to the Freetown post office. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Oh, she's old. She's going to be around for not too much longer, but most of the people in Freetown really don't care." And I'm thinking, well, son of a bitch, I'm not going to be the one that gets her freaking canned. But she does. She takes whatever packages from Amazon, and we order from Amazon a lot. She puts them in saran wrap, and then hooks them around the mailbox. And it drives me insane. She won't bring them to the house. But it says she has to, unless her mailbox is more than a mile away, and it's not even close. Dan. Is it working better? I don't know why it does that sometimes. You got to work on a Frank Duran banner. I don't care if it's a corner banner, side banner, but it's going to be there a lot.
Okay.
ailing you, if you want to know about stem cell therapy, which could possibly put off your surgery.
Yeah, but it's going to be one that's always there. So think outside the box.
No pressure. There will be.
It's not going to be like our typical banner. So you might want to build it at the top.
By Stem Cell Institute.
Well, you put it anywhere.
Clinics around the country, and they just opened up one here in Denver. In many cases, you can avoid surgery.
I feel that Mark on your show is dishonest.
You can delay surgery, and in all cases,
Is this the one from?
Yeah, this is a deadbeat Daryl.
Stem Cell Institute.
Just received a call from one of my customers saying that you're bad-mouthing my shop. You know what? And I love when people fire me up like this. Nothing could be better than this email.
This is a cut and dried, so...
God, this thing is so unbelievable, John. It's crazy.
Even a guy who's never worked with cars before.
Most things that go wrong in cars are not really a mystery. You can figure out the order that things were done or not done, especially in those diesel trucks. I mean,
you should see all the junk that was in the cooler.
They said they cleaned out this intercooler. And there was pieces of the original turbo in there. I mean, the Mercedes guys literally pulling them out with pliers as I'm watching. And they're trying to say it's the second turbo. But the second turbo, the impeller's not broke. I mean, it's like so cut and dry.
It's got a couple of nicks.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Each and every day we take on cases to help you, to solve problems, to answer questions, to take complaints.
Oh, this guy Daryl just emailed us, the manager down there at the Springs Truck Center. And you know what he's saying? He's saying I'm being dishonest, that I didn't call him. Well, Daryl, I did call you yesterday.
What difference does it make whether you called him or not?
Well, I don't know, but I called him right at 303-810-6348.
Did he want to be down there?
The reason why he's complaining is because he's saying Mark said on the air that he called him, and he's
I left
saying
him
Mark
a nice
didn't call
out
him.
yesterday, and I'll try to call you again at that 303-810-6348 there, Daryl. But yes, I did call you, and when you see these pictures, if you actually even care about your customer down there, if you still don't want to take care of this after you see the pictures, I'll be amazed. But you know what? He dug in.
He flat out is being lied to by his tech.
And folks, stay away from this place down there in Colorado Springs.
No, it sucks. I mean, I can't believe that they're handling this way. You know, here's something, though, that people say. Well, Tom, they have a lot of good reviews. Okay. Now, if you go back to each positive review, here's what I would say. Ma'am or sir, was your experience positive? Yes, it was. Why? Well, you see, we paid and we got the service, and it was excellent. They treated me fine. Well, you could say that about any prostitute. So that doesn't mean that they're excellent. It means they got paid, and there was no complication.
Yeah, nothing went wrong.
When you really tell when something is excellent is if there's a little twist or turn and they have to adjust. Anyone can accept payment and do a good job. Now, is that to be overlooked? No, that's nice. You accept payment, you do a good job. You accept payment, you do a good job. But that is expected. It's amazing to me that today people get rave reviews for accepting money and doing a good job. Okay?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Isn't that what's supposed to happen? Now, did they do an over-the-top job? Explain that. How was it over the top? Here's what people describe as over the top. When people are polite, which they should be anyway, when they do the job as expected, which they should do anyway, and when everything goes according to plan, which it should do anyway. But as soon as there's a hiccup, that's how you tell if a company is good or bad. So if this Colorado Springs place has a truck and auto center, service center, if they have rave reviews for doing exactly that, taking money and doing a job, anyone can do that. That is not, to me, anything special. What is special is when something happens and they stand behind it. It's like getting a watchdog. You say, I have the best watchdog in the world. He's cuddly, he's cute, he lays on the porch, I feed him. Okay, how do you know he's a good watchdog? You don't. So you give him rave reviews for sitting on the couch and wagging his tail and licking you and the kids. What happens when somebody comes to the door with a gun and he runs and hides, or somebody threatens you? That's how you know. That's how you know if you have a good dog.
It drove me crazy Friday. Daryl's first thing when we had him on the air was, I've got great reviews from other customers. We have all these big clients down here. Well, you know what? Eventually, if you treat those big clients like you are this poor little guy, this furniture repair guy, Daryl, you're not going to have those those clients at Springs Auto and Truck Service Center for long, bud.
So anyway, let's talk. Jim, you have something you want to say? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Yes, sir.
I'm calling about XL Roofing.
Yes, sir.
They were out here this morning, and I got their free gutter cleaning from them. And they are amazing.
Well, free gutter cleaning is something. That's cool. And
it's a lot more than that, Tom. They were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock in the morning. My clock was dinging 9 o'clock, and they were ringing the doorbell at the same time. Construction people are not like that.
No, not normally. That's again. See, they showed up on time, and we find that amazing. Isn't that something? I mean, really, that's what our world has come to. Jim, they showed up on time, and they were polite, I'll bet, and clean cut. Yep.
They were very, very polite. And something else that's absolutely amazing, they left here, you wouldn't even know they were here, except they had clean gutters.
Yep. If the clean gutters cleaned up after themselves, you wouldn't know they're there. No obligation whatsoever. Jim, and they're hoping by doing these free gutter cleanings that they're going to have, clients for life.
Well, they do. As a matter of fact, I need a shed that's being re-roofed. I got 2 sheds that need to be re-roofed, and they're calling me on that now.
See, it's a great model of business. It is.
I remember when he did that last week.
And he's the home of not a penny up front, not a penny paid until everything's done. Anyway, 303-761-6400, excelroofing.com. Excel is an excellent, E-X-C-E-L, excelroofing.com. 303-761-6400. Let's keep going here. And Willie's got a problem with a dealership. Go ahead, Willie.
Yes, Tom. I bought a 2017 Chevrolet Silverado from Century Chevrolet.
Okay.
Signed the paperwork, done everything that they said do. The guy told me, don't worry about finance, we got you covered.
Did you drive the truck away?
I did.
That's what you call the old, and you got the old callback, right?
I did.
The old callback, which says, and I will let you pick multiple choice. Willie, you didn't put enough down. Willie, we need a cosigner. Or Willie, we misvalued your trade. Or Willie, we can't find you the loan we thought. Or Willie, it's going to be a higher interest. Or whatever. But Willie, if you bring the car back, you have to pay for it. So you have to pay for use of the car. Which one was it?
Well, the one they said was we couldn't get you financed. You need to return the vehicle back and either get a cosigner or bring some more money, something like they said $30,000, something like that.
Now, do you know this, Willie? It was everything in that dealership's power to know that before you drove away.
Right.
Why didn't they do it?
I don't know.
Because they didn't want you going somewhere else and buying it. So they'd rather put a car in your hands, knowing that you're hooked, and then they see if they can put the deal together. And if not, they take the car back. You pay for what you used on it. Now, here's the deal, though. They can't charge you more than a certain number of days if they took too long to tell you. But I believe the law, I think, is 10 days or something. They're allowed to charge you bailment, I think, or unless that law went away. I know they're constantly changing it. We'd have to look that up. But, Mark, maybe you can look that up. But the bailment agreement used to be they had a limit of 10 days, I think they had to let you know.
Well, they said that this was kind of like, to me, was a spot, what you call it, a spot delivery?
It is a spot delivery. That's what they do. And here's why. There's only 2 dealerships that don't do that I know of. One of them is Purifoy Chevrolet on new cars. They make sure everything's approved. They will not deliver a car unless everything is 100% approved. And then when it comes to used cars, well, Purifoy does that both on every deal they have. And Rocky's Autos, never, ever, ever will Rocky's let a car leave the lot ever without 100% financing, ever. That's when I do their commercials. Rocky's has 40 lenders to choose from, so they pick one that's right for you. Now, if they can't get you financed, I'm not saying they can guarantee financing, but if they don't get you financed, they tell you on the spot, and then what they do is not finance you. But if they do get you financed, it's not, hey, we're going to see what we can do. They literally can originate the loan right there, get final approval, before you drive off the lot. So they're 100% approved. And then because they own the cars and they have the titles there, they can then assign that title to the lender and take care of the lien and everything. So, you know, it's not a small thing. So we got to figure out how to help Willie. It's not a small thing that Rockies does that. By the way, I mentioned Rockies 303-426-4646, 63rd and Federal, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 8. Purefoy's in Fort Lupton, 303-659-8311. Now, Willie, what do they want to do? Are they going to take money from you anyway? Or hold on, and we'll come right back to that.
There's a couple of slow spots on the highway drive to watch out for. Look out for a little bit of delay.
Just so you see it.
Of I-76.
Yeah, Mark, I really think that you guys could get a good insight by sending somebody from this staff to that class.
Maybe I'll send Deputy Dan.
Deputy Dan.
Do you have a gun? Yeah, okay. Do you have a permit already? Or?
I don't have a carry.
Well, now that you're my muscle.
The other thing is, more than half my students now are women.
John,
Now cloudy and 52.
tell me what do you want to talk about? What gets this phone ringing? Just give me a topic, something that you think would help, and we'll bring it up. You said things have been slow. When people call, is it because there are no accidents, or you're not getting work, or what? Tell me what's going on.
The phone's not ringing, Tom. So we had a discussion a couple years ago where you said, John, I know content, let me tell them what they need to hear.
I know. Here's what I have to figure, though. I got to figure, I want to know if it's, I got to check with others in the marketplace, because I want to know if it's the market trend or if it's something we're doing wrong or something we're doing. See, that's what I need to know. I need to know the trend here. And if somebody else is up, for example, and you were down, that would concern me terribly. Not that I would take that as an excuse, but it would at least give me a direction. Because I don't want to ever knee-jerk react and do something completely different, but at the same time, if we have to, we do. So, Mark, I'm gonna actually do it a little survey.
Early in the show, I heard another law firm advertise. I don't have time to listen every day to police when somebody else gets sold a bunch of ads on.
They're not supposed to be
you, I know, but they've done that periodically over the time.
It's called run sketch.
They do it all right. Even what's his name, Richard, whoever, was doing it once an hour for like 6 months there
on my show.
Yes.
Who was that? You're right. Who was that?
Richard. What was his name? The guy that used to be in this spot before me.
Oh, Rich. Yeah, Rich Werner.
Yes. So every now and again,
he totally stopped advertising everywhere.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
I wonder what happened.
We got people do that with HVAC big time though.
Yeah, but when they kind of triple up on me, my ads go away because you only play them once an hour, or once a show. For the longest time, I was like your 1257 guy, and so they wouldn't hear it in the first 2 hours.
What are you doing? And I know you went through a massive redesign. I'm not talking about your website, but I'm talking about your digital efforts. Where are you to assure that you're where people are searching? Are you doing a good job?
That's the age-old question. I mean,
do you have an SEO company?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Are you pleased with them?
I want to set them up with at least to meet Danielle.
Well, that's for social, but I'm talking about SEO, Mark.
I'm using Get Found Fast. I pay those people a lot of damn money. They totally redesigned my website. I'm just saying, I see the damn numbers every month. Here's the deal.
John, do you like the numbers you're seeing?
I don't give a shit what the numbers are. I like the phone ringing.
No shit. But listen,
I'm serious.
We're on, aren't we?
I'm completely serious.
The only thing that counts, John, are conversions. You're absolutely right. Did they show your conversion rate? Did they actually show you the numbers? Do they keep track of it? Well, is there conversion?
Conversions are, I don't do online business, Tom. So a conversion is you picking up the phone and calling me.
But John, you need to have a call to action with a form. Do you have that?
Yes, I do.
Are people filling it out? Okay. Then there's a problem, John. It's not being put in the right place.
I agree.
Well, just give me. I'm going to tell you something, okay? Get Found Fast. If I get another complaint about that with the people that spend, I know a guy spending $50 grand a month.
As it turns out, a little harder than I thought.
I'm telling you something.
You all agree
specifically that
Listen to win $1,000
You'd be better off with pay-per-clicks or something.
I am.
I'm on those.
Are those working for you?
John,
I'm so frustrated. How are we being broadcast?
I don't want to be broadcast.
I don't want to be broadcast.
So I'm gonna ask you to turn it off, and I'm just.
Radio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Nate's got a question for one of our guests today on concealed guns. Go ahead, Nate, go ahead.
So here's the basic question. This is just a hypothetical, obviously, but suppose that I were to come out of the store or come home or wherever and see people stealing my car. Now, they're not threatening me in any way.
You're talking about property, right?
My car. And now, and I, obviously I would maybe be carrying conceal or whatnot. But suppose, that I were to smash the windows of my car or give them orders to come out of the car, and I don't draw the gun on them. Now, and then maybe, I just want your guest to elaborate on what options, basically.
All right. In other words, when can you use lethal force? Because you don't take a gun out unless you intend to really, really stop someone, kill him.
You can't be a police officer, but if I'm seeing someone, just a hypothetical.
So what if he's taking his car, his expensive car or property? Can you do anything?
No. The gun laws are such that it's based on imminent threat to your life. And you're not trying to stop somebody with a firearm. You're trying to stay alive with a firearm. In other words, you don't shoot to kill, you shoot to stay alive. You shoot to preserve your life, and that's the only time you use that firearm is when your life or someone else's is in imminent danger.
But you do go for center of mass, and you don't try to get like you see in the movies, injure him in the leg or the foot, or you try to, like you said, save your life. So do you teach you shoot to center of mass?
Yes, we do, because experienced shooters have an extremely hard time shooting a small target. Like you often hear, why didn't they just shoot the knife out of his hand?
I know, you hear that all. They're watching too many wide.
Yeah, because you're going to miss and you're going to hit an innocent bystander.
So Nate, he answered your question, bro, and that is, you shoot to stay alive, and if he's stealing your car, it has nothing to do.
Am I allowed to smash the windows out?
What are you talking about?
In other words, if I see my car being taken away, am I allowed to throw giant objects into the window?
Sure you can.
Well, you can use what's called reasonable force, and I'll defer to John on that.
John, you do criminal defense work. What can a guy do that you would be able to defend?
Well, you can do anything to your property that you want, but your question was, what can I do with my gun? Can I break the window with my gun? That's probably not the smartest thing that you can do. The bottom line is, and we've had a case in Colorado, you can't defend property with a firearm. You just can't.
Okay. Now, if your kids are inside the house and he's breaking in, that's different.
A whole different analysis.
Of course. Okay. John Fuller, speaking of that, we have a question here online. I don't know what areas of law do you specialize in? I don't know what that means.
So the bulk of my practice, meaning like 95+%, is representing plaintiffs in personal injury matters, period.
Okay, so what would that be considered personal injury?
That means
when they say areas of law, and I know that I've talked about, I've interviewed you before, and you said personal injury takes knowledge over several areas of law. What do you mean?
Well, you've got
overlapping.
If you can think of the myriad of ways that somebody can get hurt that might be somebody else's fault, I do that, and that could be cases involving automobiles, semis, bicycles. I had
Are they mostly though traffic and pedestrian type of things? Mostly.
That and premises liability cases.
Okay, yep. But premises is that's a weird one, but that's another area of law totally. But you so that's what they mean when they say that. Then this is a question, how many cases have you actually taken to trial? These are actual questions, by the way.
Right. So I've handled
I think I know who this is asking, this one guy, because he has a case he's probably wants to take to court.
Right. So we've litigated probably in the vicinity of 700 cases over the years.
And what would you say percentage-wise then? Half?
No, not even close. Probably in the range of 25 to 30% of our cases go into the litigation process. Some of those cases end up going to trial. Much of them will end up getting settled at some point along the way.
Is it still contingency for trial?
Oh, sure. Every one of my cases is on a contingency basis. I do not accept personal injury cases where I charge a client by the hour.
Okay. 303-713-TALK if you have any more questions. And if you feel more comfortable doing it through messaging, that's fine too. That happens with a few of my clients. With you, one, and with Joe Lazara is another. And I think it's because they're almost ashamed to talk about it. Joe does criminal defense. We get a lot of email questions. Lee, what's going on with you, Lee?
Hi, good morning, Tom. I was wondering if you could answer two questions for me.
Sure, Lee, go ahead.
Okay, one is, if you have a safe deposit box and you pass, can the bank go through your safe deposit box before they release it?
No.
And does it help to have a cosigner?
Okay. A cosigner has nothing to do with it. Now, and speaking of cosigners, Willie, we haven't forgot about you in the dealership, by the way. We were trying to get a hold of them. Lee, they can't go through your safety deposit box at all, except at last resort. And I don't know what you mean by a cosigner, so I'm going to ask you to hold on, and I'll come back to you and let you elaborate. I'm Tom Martino with attorney John Fuller, Fuller Law. We have a lot to talk about. Stick around.
Yes. You know that Freddie got this lady. Where'd Willie go? Another $7,000.
I told him to hang on. You'd be coming back, and he let go.
These, I swear, these public adjusters, I swear by them.
Oh, there's nothing.
He got her another $7,000.
There's no downside. I want to get her back on. Is she happy?
Yeah, he got her 500% on her regular house. 500%.
So she's going to have enough to do on this roofer. The roofer did nothing wrong.
And then on the rental property, $7,000.
So can we get her to say something?
I'm sure we could.
Well, I want to. I want to get a little success story here.
It's just amazing to me, these people. It's crazy.
She'll share medical advice with you on keeping her.
I wonder, I bet on the commercial side of this shit. I bet some of these hail claims on big commercial buildings, I bet there could be $100,000 laying out there.
6 p.m. at Swedish Medical Center. Seating is limited, so please register at
Yeah, I wish I had one.
That's
New bottom line, I have my hail.
Shit, me too, man. That's what pisses me off. I wonder what I missed.
I'm doing pay-per-click, Facebook, Twitter, social media stuff. Just
listen. Turn off the mic, please.
President Trump says the evils of the Holocaust were beyond description.
We will never, ever be silent in the face of evil again.
In a Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony at the Capitol today, the president called the Holocaust history's darkest hour. The event included the dedication of the U.S. Holocaust Museum's new Conservation and Research Center. A House panel is pressing the White House for more information on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. After a classified briefing with defense officials, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee called the documents on Flynn.
They are extremely troubling. We have concerns. And I believe these documents should be declassified to the fullest extent possible.
Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings also accused the retired general of concealing foreign payments from Russia and said the White House is withholding pertinent information. Flynn was fired amid questions about conversations he had with the Russian ambassador before President Trump was inaugurated. Meanwhile, President Trump wants to make it clear he is not backing down from his demand that the U.S. build a border wall with Mexico. He tweeted this morning that it will get built and warned, quote, "Don't let the fake media tell you I have changed my position on the wall." Trump told a meeting of conservative news outlets yesterday that he might not make wall funding a requirement right now so lawmakers can quickly reach an agreement to avert a looming government shutdown. The star of season 19 of The Bachelor is under arrest following a fatal traffic accident in Iowa. Authorities allege Chris Soules fled the scene after his pickup hit a John Deere tractor in Aurora. The driver of the tractor died. You can now look like you've been rolling in the mud without actually having to get dirty. Nordstrom selling a pair of jeans that appears to have mud caked on it. Much like real dirt, it won't wash out. Costs $425 a pair. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
This report is brought to you by Carrabba's Italian Grill.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 55. Chance of rain and snow overnight and a low of 32. Tomorrow mostly sunny with a high of 60. Thursday it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 58.
To celebrate 25% larger portions of Carrabba's signature pastas with made-from-scratch sauce, when you buy any spaghetti entree, they're giving you a free spaghetti and meatballs to take home. So head to Carrabba's now through April 30th and get pasta today and pasta tomorrow.
Hi, I'm consumer advocate Tom Martino. You've heard of debt consolidation. Is it a good idea? Yes, if you do it the right way. Or should I say, the ideal way. Here to explain is Brent Ivinson, president of Ideal Home Loans.
So many people have equity again, Tom. This is one of the ways you can truly let your mortgage work for you. Take care of that credit card debt. It's compounded daily, financed at high rates. You could be saving well over $1,000 a month. And remember, we're not going to have you stretch your debt out over 30 years. If you apply a portion of that savings back towards your home loan, you're going to be completely debt-free, mortgage and all, sooner rather than later.
How do we get started?
You can call us at 303-867-7000 or apply online at idealhomeloans.com.
Call now, 303-867-7000. That's 867-7000 or idealhomeloans.com.
Ideal Home Loans is regulated by the Division of Real Estate, NMLS number 136756. Call 303-867-7000. Example based on $250,000 loan amount, 32% DTI, 740 credit score, owner-occupied financing, 80% loan to value.
idealhomeloans.com.
Denver's talk station. Online at khow.com.
You know the thing about routine maintenance?
Duh, it's routine.
Lynn and Michelle here.
The sisters from Brothers, and there's nothing exciting about routine anything.
But if routine maintenance for your home's plumbing, electrical system, or comfort system is overlooked, it turns into something else, repair work. It's simple. Routine maintenance will always cost you less time and money than repairs.
So call Brothers.
We'll send a technician over for an inspection and some boring
routine maintenance.
Brothers Plumbing, Heating and Electric. Online at brothersplumbing.com.
Have a question about roofing? So many of my listeners do, and guess who I recommend first? Excel Roofing. Jay Bretz is the owner and my friend, and it's been 20 years.
It seems like just yesterday.
Jay, first things first. When a customer thinks they have hail damage, what should they do?
Of course, they should call us at 303-761-6400, even before you call your insurance company, and we'll do an inspection and let you know if you have a claim.
And this is important because every claim inquiry you make, even if they don't pay you a dime, will count against you, and your rates can go up.
And Tom, we do more than the roof itself. We make sure that the roof will last and be energy efficient with proper attic insulation and ventilation.
I know when I needed a new roof, I called Excel. You should too. 303-761-6400. That's 761-6400 or excelroofing.com.
Excel Roofing, we're on top of it. Napa know-how.
Why buy the dual cam sports action and dash camera from Napa for $69.99? Because it's the only dash cam that's also an everything else cam. So you can record yourself being safe on the road or attach it to your helmet for dirt biking off-road. Because like this camera, you're a double threat. The dual cam sports action and dash camera for only $69.99. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 4/30/17.
Hiring is the most challenging part of my job.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio.
This is the Troubleshooter Show.
Help, I need somebody.
Now, Tom Martino, the Troubleshooter.
Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Welcome to the show, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. I'm going to talk to Mark Trenner right now, an intellectual property attorney, because we have a question on line 2 about it. And then I also want to tell you we have attorney John Fuller with us, Fuller Law, and he does personal injury. And we have some questions there electronically. that we answered. One, he said about 30% of the cases go to trial. He's tried about 700. About how many go to trial, John? I thought you said 30%.
Yeah, so 30% of the cases will generally go into the litigation process.
Okay.
Now, only a very small percentage of those will actually go all the way to trial.
So when you say litigation process, what do you mean then?
I mean filing a lawsuit against the at-fault
But
party.
the actual trial then would be how much? 10%?
No, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
At most, it would be 10. Actually, it's probably in the 2 to 3% range that actually go to trial. Our courthouses couldn't possibly try 10% of those disputes.
Okay. And then we talked about areas of law, and he says basically a lot has to do with motor vehicle, pedestrian type things, motorcycles, big rigs, things like that, traffic related. Then he says he also does some premises liability cases, and then in between other things. We then have some other questions as a result of that we'll get to, and I don't know what they mean by percentage of wins, but we'll see what they mean, because I think that unless you got zero, okay, so we'll get on to that question in a minute. They want to know, how do you evaluate a guy as far as percentages of win or property recovered or damages? Maybe you have a barometer you can help if he's shopping. Also, Mark Trenner's on the line to answer a question about intellectual property. And then we're trying to get David Salisbury to answer a question about a safe deposit box for Lee. So we're very busy today. This is a consumer show where we answer questions, basically. We also help you directly if we can. And we recover a lot of cash, merchandise, exchanges, refunds, and services. All right, so let's talk to Jesse, who has a question about Craigslist. And we're going to talk to Mark Trenner about that. Go ahead, Jesse.
So it's a follow-up from
yesterday. I remember. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Week.
A lot of people are listening that didn't hear you.
So I have a Craigslist ad that keeps getting deleted. I suspect I know who it is and what it's all about. But I want to know if I have any recourse to file some type of a summons for that IP address.
You want to know if you can find out who is dissing your name as a result of this Craigslist thing. Now, we're not sure Mark Trenner's the right way to go, but he's intellectual property, so we'll ask him about... Mark, if you suspect, let's say, competition or somebody is trying to blackball you and they keep flagging your ad as inappropriate on Craigslist, is there any legal kind of form you could do to try to find out who that is?
Yeah, but usually the first thing I would do is start with the Craigslist policy. Has the caller looked into the Craigslist policy as in what recourse they might offer?
Apparently, Mark, what's weird is anyone can go on Craigslist right now and flag an ad, and if 3 people do it, they automatically remove it. Now, Jesse, if they automatically remove it, how do you get back up again?
Well, there are some advantages to them removing it, and that is you can repost it immediately. The problem is that you've got to check it, every hour or whatever it is. It becomes a nuisance.
So Mark, I don't think the policy in this case matters, because people can anonymously go in and flag it. So how could you...
Sure, they sure can, but I mean, what I would do is check with Craigslist and tell them that it's being flagged when it shouldn't be tagged. It's either being flagged by somebody that just doesn't want them to have it up there.
Sure.
Or it's being flagged because of unfair competition.
In other words, is there somewhere on the site, Jesse, that says if you think you're flagged inappropriately, call us or do this? Because I'm sure it's a robot that's terminating your ad. I don't think anyone goes in and actually reads it. Now at Yelp, I do notice on Yelp once in a while, they will not post certain reviews. If certain reviews are personal or are not business related, or they discern it is simply venting, I've actually had people do that about me, of course, because, I'm controversial, and Yelp would actually say to me, these have been withheld, and there'll be stuff like saying, I hate you, you're this or you're that, and it has nothing to do with truly my business. So I wonder if Craigslist has any control like that.
They probably do. I mean, that's the first place that I always start. People always say, well, what can I do as far as filing a legal action? And really, you don't want to jump to filing a legal action because it's going to cost a lot. It's going to take a lot
What
of
if
time.
an attorney, though? What if an attorney wrote to Craigslist and says, "I believe my client's ad is being flagged inappropriately, especially by the competition. We request you take a look at the content." I mean, do you think that would do anything?
Yeah, you can always do that, but I always tell people that first of all, check and see.
Do it yourself first.
Yeah, exactly. On consumer sites, there's usually some sort of procedure, and if you start off following that, you're usually going to have a better reception both by Craigslist and by the other parties
So
than
Jesse,
if you get the attorneys involved away.
I want to move forward and file a subpoena to Craigslist.
Well,
and I want to know how to do
you don't file a subpoena. What you do is a subpoena is a result of a lawsuit. I don't think you can just, Mark, you can't just just subpoena somebody, can you?
It's pretty hard to get someone's IP address.
No, what I mean is John Fuller, you do enough lawsuits. You can't just ask for a subpoena. I mean, you have to have a lawsuit,
you're
right?
Need to have file a lawsuit.
And then it has to be, pertinent to the lawsuit, not just a lawsuit.
Yeah.
We're going to have to impel his internet company, whoever this IP is, to give up the information. That's a John Doe case.
That's
okay,
what I'll do.
Suzanne, what did you want to add?
So Jesse has photos of work he has done for hardwood flooring from someone else's house. Is he allowed to put those pictures up if it's from someone else's house, Mark?
If he takes the photograph, unless they... Go ahead.
As long as he took the photo, he owns the copyright in it.
Yeah, sure.
Now, you do have to be careful that you're not showing private parts of the house. But, I mean, if you're zooming in on just the floor, and it could be a floor anywhere, that's generally not going to invoke any privacy rights.
What about I take a picture of a Rockies player or somebody famous or John Elway or somebody, and I want to use that? Can I own the copyright? Can I use his likeness to and sell it?
It depends how you're using it. No, you can't turn around and sell it because they'll generally have a right of privacy. Well, general public usually has a right of privacy. Celebrities, there may be a business interest too. It just depends how you're using it. If you're using it in a newsworthy event, like, hey, we're down here.
No, I understand that, but if I wanted to use it, if I wanted to use it just to buy a picture of Elway, for example, and I superimposed it on something else, and it looked funny or something, I can't do that.
It depends how you use it. If you use it in a humorous way, a lot of the time there's going to be an exception for. I forget the word of it, but basically if you're using
fair
it to
use,
poke fun of, parody,
Okay, listen, then, Jesse, you need to check with Craigslist first. You need to check with them before.
That's the first thing I would do. Is
before a subpoena.
They probably have a procedure in place.
Before a subpoena, I mean, you actually have to. I mean, you have to have a lawsuit. Before you do that, at least contact them and say, what is the procedure?
Before you file a lawsuit, you're going to have to show that you did take some due diligence and that you took some good.
And then again, who would you sue? Craigslist? I mean, you can't sue them just because they're following their procedure to take you down. I don't even know. Can he file a John Doe lawsuit and serve it on Craigslist for the person?
What you don't want to do is file a lawsuit in bad faith because the court will throw it out and they could even charge you attorney fees, so you could actually end up owing money to the other party, in this case Craigslist. So you want to be careful before you jump in and file a lawsuit. You need to do your due diligence, and if there's a procedure in place, you need to check that out first.
Right. I have a very specific question for you, Mark Trenner. Very specific. I do an ad for Colorado Tinnitus and Hearing Center, and they're good people. Now, they were one of the first people into the tinnitus research and stuff, so they're called Colorado Tinnitus and Research. Now, if you do a search on Colorado Tinnitus, and now I have a question. I'm not asking if anybody's doing anything wrong, but if you do the search Colorado Tinnitus, okay, and you just do that, when you do Colorado Tinnitus as a search term, what you find is it says Colorado Tinnitus right up front. They bought the ad word Colorado Tinnitus, or they put, and it's a purchased ad. By the way, this is and the other company, I'm asking this, the other company is also on our referral list. I'm not trying to start a fight, but I noticed
because it's descriptive, and you're allowed to describe that you're in Colorado and you treat this condition.
And then it says don't miss another word, and then underneath Tinnitus Center, of course. But I thought because their name is Colorado Tinnitus and Hearing Center, it seemed odd to me.
So they can't use Colorado Tinnitus and Hearing Center, but they don't have rights to just Colorado Tinnitus. That's descriptive of what the services is and where it is.
Okay, so if you...
Nobody's going to get exclusive rights to a geographic term. Colorado, if you're in Colorado,
that would be like
Colorado.
Like Denver Spine, for example.
Right.
I mean, if you put it, because we actually have a client... We actually have a client called Denver Spine, but you're telling me I could buy the term for Google. I can buy Denver Spine even though it's somebody else's name. I can buy the search term, the AdWords.
Well, yeah, you can always buy the AdWord. That's not a trademark infringement.
So Denver Spine, even if it's the name of a business, I can buy that search term, Denver Spine, just like I can Colorado Tinnitus.
So the trademark office will never grant exclusive rights to a geographic term. They'll make you disclaim that if you have that in your trademark application.
Okay.
They'll make you disclaim that portion because that's always descriptive of where you're at.
Thank you very much. That's Mark Trenner, attorney at law, 720-221-3708.
Like it, Roger, so you know. What do you think about harassment on that? Kind of a stretch, but when you're talking, it's that big a nuisance to him. But he's not under any threat, really.
Just between Parker and I-25, otherwise traffic is looking great across town.
I'm going to try to work in those areas as well. Find a new way to get advantage on there. He's never going to be able to go sue anybody. Craigslist is not an amenable party. So the only way you can do it is to do a John Doe and then get subpoena power to send a subpoena to the ISP to disclose the identity of it. And that's a big, huge pain in the ass nightmare. And if they out there do the same thing.
Well, even in criminal cases, we've had to go jump through major hoops to get an IP address.
It's not easy. You know,
there it is. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Your CD rate. To learn more, stop by any Belco branch or visit belco.org/CDs. Belco, banking for everyone.
Does your knee or hip pain keep you from doing things you love like biking, hiking, dancing?
Is the bathroom close by?
Yep.
So right past the elevators.
So go and then take a right. Right after the elevators, take a right. It's right off to the right. Experts at Orthopedic Physicians of Colorado. Orthopedic surgeons Dr. John Woodward and Dr. Joseph Assini will help you understand the root cause of your
So you don't want to call that Daryl on air.
Provide an overview of treatment options ranging from pain management to surgery. The seminars are free to attend, and there are 2 dates for you to choose from. Wednesday, April 26th.
No, after looking at that,
Thursday, May 11th. Both seminars are in Highlands Ranch.
It's so obvious.
So obvious. You know what's really bad? Is that even if, like Tom said, the text probably did lie to him and stuff. Don't you think the service manager should have went out there and said, let's take a look at this here and stuff? Let's look at the propeller and stuff, you know.
Register at orthophysicians.com. That's orthophysicians.com.
So it wasn't, very well could have been
Rates are still low. Save thousands and have lower payments. Take AIM, affordable interest mortgage.
Whether you're refinancing or purchasing your new home, we have new loan programs that allow you to borrow up to 97% of value.
Stop paying $200, $300, $400 a month in mortgage insurance. Take AIM, 720-895-0500.
Purchase your next home with as little as 1% down with no mortgage insurance.
With our low rates,
this went over 2,100, 21,000.
I know, man, it did a while back.
And payments less than you were paying.
It's badass, Jack.
720-895-0500 to find out why more Coloradans are using affordable interest mortgage to refinance or purchase their next home.
We will listen to you, and we will personalize your loan to fit your lifestyle. We offer you a paperless loan process, a fast close, and up-to-date communication throughout the process.
720-895-0500. Take AIM as your local and trusted broker since 2001.
720-895-0500.
NMLS 298191. Regulated by DORA. Equal
It's because of that tax thing that he's going to come out. Supposedly.
It could really flop tomorrow, though.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah, I know.
But he said he's looking at the 15%. Now, one thing also I read a little bit on there is what was holding up for the Democrats was, at least for the budget, was the wall.
The wall. Yeah, well, now they're saying that they're going to wait till next year to do the wall.
That would be a very smart...
Shit, that would be a horrible thing. A lot of people voted for him for the wall.
Right, but if he does it next year and stuff and keeps it on.
And it's knowing, it's working those damn tests over and over and over and over and over again until you can spot the little tricks that they have in them and get around them and do well. It's not something I would recommend to go do again for anybody. I did it once, I'm done.
We have our word, we'll treat you right, it done right.
Who's emailing you all these, how many trials and how much shit do you have going on?
I don't have it here now. Let's see, hold on, I'm gonna try to find it. Hold on. Let me get it.
It got really bad.
Coming after my house, my car. I seriously thought that
It's Frank Azar.
No, it wasn't. It was a real person. And they come up here too on my Google. Okay. But the other guy, the one guy, those, not the third one, the first two questions were from a guy who I just recognized his email. It's just a listener, but it's somebody who has a big case.
The easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeart
Let me
Radio
see.
app.
It might be in my trash. Hold on. Do you want me to forward it? Do you want
That's probably one of
reach
my
out to
first
him?
clients or something. I'm not going to reach out to him.
I'm trying to find his personal. Hold on, personal.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Welcome to the show. We are here to help you solve problems, answer questions, take complaints, and Sheldon had that email question for John Fuller, and then we have some more coming in we'll try to get to in a minute. If you have any for John Fuller, personal injury attorney, let us know. We also have our weapons training expert. He trains people on handgun safety and control and is for people who want to get a concealed carry. We'll get to him in a minute here. Mike, I think Mike does have a question on that. Mike, or a comment. Go ahead, Mike. Mike?
Hey, Tom, how you?
Good,
Tom,
man.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. And did you want to discuss something with our guest today on guns? Wayne Nelson.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say I've had my concealed weapons now for a little over 15 years. And for what your guest is telling me or telling everyone else, that if you're going to take the responsibility to carry a gun, you need to take as much training as you possibly can to be safe, because it's a large commitment that you're going to make carrying that loaded weapon with you.
Wayne, I think you would agree with that, right, Wayne?
Well, absolutely. And not only that, but to constantly keep up with your training. You can't take one class and then never go out and practice or never get new information. That's why it's important to stay with professional instructors to stay up to date on current techniques, current laws, and when and how to use a firearm.
But safety and control, they're always the same. They're not going to change. I mean, you know what I'm saying, unless weapons change and new generations of weapons.
Correct. How you manipulate it might change, but you're right. Basically, the safety rules and the safety mindset should never change.
So I want to ask you something. I know that when I see like some TV shows, some of these guys do sideways, you know, with the thumb would be pointing to the side or down. I'm serious. That's just gangster shooting. You saw those, right?
Of course.
You know, they hold the gun out to the side or down. Is that just for showmanship? Seriously, is there anything to that, or is that just bull crap?
That's bull crap, and that's Hollywood training, okay. And you don't rely on Hollywood to train you about firearms. For example, in a lot of TV shows, movies, you see the cops with their gun pointed up at the ceiling just in case the bad guy's up there. And then right before they go in the room for a gunfight, then they chamber around. So they're going there with an empty gun. So
I see what you're saying.
And, you know, there are some TV folks and some movies that are getting a lot better. For instance, Keanu Reeves in the John Wick series is very, very technically accurate because he's taking the time to have professional trainers.
I think most movies nowadays are truly becoming more accurate. They're really into realism and consulting and all that, except for space movies. The first thing is it would be very boring because there's no sound in space. So that would be, you know, you couldn't have, you couldn't have that in space. You couldn't have that in space. It's a vacuum. There's no sound. We have David Salisbury with us, attorney at law. Hello, David. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom.
And David does estate planning and wills and trust and probate and all of that. And I'm not sure if Lee's question directly pertains to you, but I think you would probably weigh in on it. With a safety deposit box upon death, what happens? Now, Lee, I want to ask you a couple questions first. If you're asking this, is it about your safety deposit box?
Yes.
And you want to know, when you pass, what will happen to it? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you want to know, can the bank go through it at any time? And I don't know, David, are banks notified? I mean, how do people know when people die? I mean, if I have something on layaway for somebody who dies, or I have a safety deposit box for somebody who dies, or I have something, how do people know? I mean, they're not necessarily notified. There is no place that literally notifies, is there?
No, there isn't, and that's why clients are told to let your loved ones or wherever is going to handle, especially the personal representative, you let them know where it is. The best thing in a perfect world is you put them on the box so they can get into it whether you're around or not.
Okay, so what if
banks are supposed to? Yeah, go ahead.
No. What are banks supposed to do?
Banks are supposed to let the personal representative have access for the mere purpose of getting the will. But I will tell you, banks, especially banks like Wells Fargo, will not work with you. So you can use, if there is a copy of the will around, you probably could open the probate with the copy, and as soon as it's open, then the personal representative can go to the bank and get the property out. But the best way is to put, for example, I'm on my mother's safe deposit box. So I don't have to prove to them anything. I've got keys. I can get into it if I need to, which would only be upon her death. So that's how you would do that. But in the absence of that, if there aren't any beneficiaries and there's no will, and you're one of those people no one really knows that much about you, then it's an issue. As far as them going through periodically going through the box, I can't imagine on what basis they would do that unless they thought something dangerous was in the box.
Why did you ask that? Did you assume they go through it?
No, someone told me that the moment I died, that the bank would be notified and that the bank go through it with whoever is going to get
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about it. And could you put like a beneficiary's deed on there that upon my passing automatically, so then you don't want them to have access while you're alive, but after you're dead you give them access? Is that possible?
No, it's not, because really what you've done is by contract you've leased a box with the bank, and so the bank really a beneficiary's estate, but that's again when you put somebody on the box.
Okay. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Certainly tell them.
We're just fading in and out here. It's not his fault. But Lee, did you have any other questions we could relate to him, or I could?
Yes.
What other questions?
An LLC.
Yes.
Does not have a beneficiary, so should it be in the trust or a will?
Okay, so what happens to an LLC? See if I can take David. The call has cleared up a bit. Has it cleared up a bit? Is he off? Okay. We're trying to reestablish connection, but I will tell you from what I know, an LLC is really an entity unto itself. If it's a single member LLC, it's totally your asset and would be treated as such. So are you asking, should you put the LLC in a trust?
No, should I put it in the trust for my will?
Should you put what in the trust?
The LLC.
Okay. The LLC can be put in a trust or not. I mean, let's talk to David. David, again, an LLC is an entity, and it truly is just either an asset or a liability, depending on what it owns. And if you're the sole member, she's asking, should it be put in a trust? Well, Lee, what you should ask first is, do I need a trust? A trust is to pass things through to another person upon your death without probate. Is that what you're trying to accomplish?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Tom, you know what you do is, as you know, LLC, you're a member. That's the equivalent of being a shareholder in a corporation. Well, all you do, that is, if you have a general term in your will that says everything I own goes to the following people, then that membership interest would also be just one of your assets.
Right. So it depends. Right.
In a corporation.
Right. So if you want it in the trust, you put it in the trust, and if you don't, you don't.
Yes.
But did I sum up the purpose of a trust adequately? That the purpose is to pass things through to other parties, or that the trust exists after your death, and then the other person takes it over, the beneficiary?
Well, no. I mean, the kind of trust you're talking about is obviously one that's set up during your lifetime, and you legally transfer all your assets. So, for example, you do a simple one-page assignment where you say, I assign my entire membership interest in blank LLC to the blank trust, and that way it owns it.
Right.
And then when you die, it's already in the trust.
That's what I'm asking. So I'm asking you, is that the purpose of a trust most of the time? People have trusts in order to transfer property without probate.
That is the main reason people do it, yes.
And for privacy too, right?
Yes, absolutely. The trust is not a public document.
All right. Thank you very much, David. We certainly appreciate it. 720-493-3911. 720-493-3911. I want to get to people who have been waiting a long time, and then we go back to our personal injury questions. I got a couple. Robert, go ahead. What's going on, Robert? Robert? Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Just see what's going on with that phone. We'll come right back to him.
One of the finest companies I know, Excel Roofing, the way they do business, the ownership and the management from the top down, they believe in plastic. Hence the name Excel Roofing. First of all,
then you wouldn't have made it.
Anything like signing a blank contract or saying we'll take care of whatever your insurance wants to take care of. When it comes to roofing, they believe you need to be fully informed. So they give you a full contract with everything that needs to be done. And then they will fight with your insurance company to get what you need if it comes to that. And then you don't pay a dime, not one dime, to get them on the job.
That's what it was. I'm trying to find it. I was trying to do a keyword search. Because I wanted that one. He was asking about your success rate. I don't know what that means. So I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it in my mail. Let me just get rid of it.
And your loyalty.
Well, a lot of people are, what's your win-loss at trial?
That's
not what we're going to talk about. Okay. It's just not a number that has any...
I know. I didn't know what they meant. I'm trying to find it, though. But the Sheldon ring a bell? It was a Sheldon.
Super advocate Tom Martino, it's finally time for some spring cleaning.
You said, how do you know who the right attorney is to pay for something?
No, those I've already asked, but there was one pending. It wasn't Sheldon. It had to do with success at trial or something. I can't find it. Okay. It must have come in on my eye. Oh, there's shit.
Get relief, Larson Tax Relief. I know Ron and Jack Larson and can vouch for their professionalism, and they don't judge, but they do handle the IRS or state for you. Larson Tax Relief. Their name says it all. Relief. I trust Ron.
It's something to do with my arms. I can't find out.
The absolute best possible resolution. Get your issues cleaned up once and for all. 844 Larson Tax. Get your life back and those worries gone. LarsonTaxRelief.com or 844.
One thing I want to make sure that we hit on a topic is kids and guns. That's one of my...
Every kid should have a gun.
Or three. See if we can save some kids' lives.
I'll see if I can.
Do you have people come in your class that just don't, because they're almost like forced to, like the husband makes the wife go, and they just don't want to be there, and they have a bad time? But do they ever have a bad time?
Yeah, and I've had a couple that are extremely afraid of guns, and actually an elderly lady, her husband was making her go because he was in a wheelchair, and they were afraid of a burglary and all that kind of stuff, and she fought it, but once we worked with her, and we took some extra time to work with her, and get her a gun that fit her hand, because most women show up when a male gets them there.
Big 45.
Yeah, they got a gun they can't manipulate, can't operate. So we get them something that's comfortable for them, and then they calm down.
So what do you, for a 5'2", 100-pound woman, like a 20, not a
little car 9.
That's a great example. Something that's smaller framed, a little bit lighter.
Little Walther, those are beautiful.
Walters, CCPs, a lot of women like that because the recoil action on it's about 30% less to pull that slide back.
AK.
But a lot of women show up with this huge gun that the husband talked them into.
What's dirty Harry got?
Yeah, and it just scares them to death.
Look here, punk. I know what you're thinking. Did I fire 5 shots or 6? That was a great line.
And say keyword dirty guns. That's pound 250.
In the class we talk about safety mindset. If you watch all those YouTube videos They got these little tiny women with these huge guns, and they're dropping them, and they're flying out of their hands and all that. So you think that's funny, then you got the wrong mindset about firearms. It's not funny, it's pathetic.
I would think most people, when they start shooting, especially if they got a smaller gun that doesn't
Right.
kick and hurt.
How did the post office know that Newman didn't do the route for a few days? How did the post office know that Newman wasn't doing his route for a few days?
Probably had a full force.
I'm not sure if I saw that episode. I mean, I remember, let's see, what would it have been?
To register for one of the upcoming seminars. For more information, visit stemcelltherapyforpain.com. That's stemcelltherapyforpain.com.
What does Jerry do? And too much mail got delivered.
To the right address.
Never before did the post office have such a success rate, so they knew it couldn't be a postal employee. What is the most sought-after postal route ever, according to Newman? Do you know this one? Hawaii. What was the one you had for him he wouldn't have got?
Oh, yeah. How did Newman get fleas?
That's right. How did Newman get fleas?
You'll never get that one.
We're going to bring in Seinfeld trivia so I can beat up on Tom.
Well, that's...
Welcome, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Welcome to the only show of its kind anywhere in the universe. John Fuller is with us, Fuller Law. Okay, so this person wants to know on email, it's not a win-loss record because people do get something at least. It's not a win-loss record. I'm trying to paraphrase because I can't find the original email. But he wanted to know, how do you gauge a personal injury attorney if most cases don't go to trial and there is no conventional win-loss record? How do you evaluate them? We see a lot of them advertising. Again, I'm not reading from the email, but I remember now what it was about. You see a lot of people advertising, I got this award and that award and this award and that award. So is it appropriate to ask how much you've recovered for people or the average settlement, or is that not a fair question? What do you think, John? If you were looking for an attorney, what would you, is that appropriate? Can you ask that?
You're certainly welcome to ask it. I don't know that the success on any one case is going to influence the success of another case. So, how much you got for somebody is neat to talk about, but it really doesn't have anything to do with what your case is worth.
And you always hear people, though, you always hear them talking about that. You know what I'm saying? They're always talking about the awards they've gotten.
Right. So there's a million things that go into the value of a case, and what you're really looking for, if you had a crystal ball, you're looking for what some ultimate jury would award, for that case, for those damages. And then at the same time, you're also considering collectability, because you may have some runaway jury that delivers a $10 million verdict that may only be worth $25,000 if there's no other source of money to go after. So all of those factors go into determining the success of any given case that we might have.
All right. So I would say it would be okay to ask, for example, how many how many full settlements, is that even appropriate, like from insurance companies, or full, like the full coverage, for example.
Policy limits?
But that's all case dependent. So really, you're saying there is no win-loss record. There's nothing really to rate personal injury attorneys, surely. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but there truly isn't.
So I really think finding the right attorney is almost like finding the right spouse. It's going to be different for everybody. I had people in my office yesterday that's like, okay, I'm not going to hire one of the TV guys, period. I would just never do that.
Well, that's stupid, too, right?
Well, those people are probably great attorneys for some people. But if you're interested in a one-on-one relationship and you want to have, you want to sit down with your attorney, then you're probably going to like a firm more like mine, because I'm the only guy there and I sit down with every single client. But, that may be more contact, or, somebody may feel like the TV guys are better representatives. I disagree, but, to each his own.
303-713-8255. If you guys have any questions, give us a call directly. Robert, there you are now. We were getting a hold of you, and you were put the phone down. That's good. I'm sorry for the wait, Robert. You have a problem getting it approved for an apartment. Why?
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you I've been listening for you for 20 years.
Well, thank you for listening, man. I hope I can help you.
Well, I think I might have to settle, but I'm going to dispute this with this apartment complex, and I've reached out to the collection agency, and I'm going to put a statement together, but I may need some help trying to figure out how to put the statement together to dispute it. And what else should I do? Should I talk to an attorney to try to get this off my record before I try to settle, or what would you advise me on this?
Mark, you've helped people with apartments before. What do you think?
I don't know.
What is the offense?
Oh, well, the thing is, I couldn't afford to rent. This was 5 years ago. I couldn't afford to rent. I moved out.
Yeah.
They got a collection.
Is it a
thing
judgment?
On my credit report for $3,600.
So it is an actual judgment.
It's not I don't know. I never went to court. I don't know what it is.
Well, if you didn't show up, there was a judgment. What is on your record right now? You said something for $3,600. What is it?
Yeah, it's a collection for the Village Creek apartment for $3,600.
All right. Do you know if it's a judgment or not?
It doesn't say judgment. It doesn't. It just says collection.
I would guess it's probably a judgment.
Well, you're going to have a tough time finding an apartment with that on the record. You're going to have a really tough time.
Oh, I know, and that's just why I want to get this resolved.
But how long ago was it?
Oh, this was 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm trying
have
to
you
get
tried
on the lease with my...
Have you tried just protesting it to see if they'll even bother answering it?
That's what I'm in the process of doing.
Try
right
that
now.
first. Always do that first, because if they don't answer it, it's going to stay off. But you have to have a logical protest, like, this thing's been cleared up. I don't recall. I mean, something. And then
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
No,
well, I was going to say that I moved out of there on time. However, there was an issue with getting the keys back to
but
him late,
listen, disputing, I understand that, but disputing it after all this time, nothing will work, okay? I'm just going to tell you, you have to just try to get it removed. None of your arguments are going to work 4 or 5 years later. It's just not.
Would your best advice would be to go ahead and maybe offer a settlement?
No, first try to protest it to get it off the record. Because even if you pay it, it's going to show up as paid, but it's going to stay on there, and it's not going to look good.
Maybe take him to small claims court.
For what, Mark?
Breach of contract, saying that he didn't do it.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it's
See
not
if
a
they
breach.
actually have a judgment or not.
See, Mark believes, and he proves it by doing it, that if you're a little gnat, even if you're a little gnat on the ass of humanity, you can irritate people to where they want to get rid of you. And Mark literally will file small claim suits that might be baseless. They may not be. Some of them he actually has, I think, some good reasoning, but he'll do it because he's kind of daring them. Okay, I'll see you in small claims court, because they're going to have to take the time to have somebody go there. So you would find a reason to sue them, saying that it may be breach of contract.
It is breach of contract.
Because you returned the key, you terminated the lease and moved out on time, and the only reason they say you owe them money is because you were late returning the keys. So you're going to say that, in fact, you did abide by all terms of the contract, and they didn't.
That's right. But in the paperwork, you just simply put breach of contract.
And then you sue them, and if they don't show up, you win.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
But so what you're suing for is to get it off your record, and then the court would compel them to do it. But in small claims court, you're supposed to sue only for money.
I got the receipt.
I don't think you can sue for.
No, you put down a dollar value because
put down $3,600 then to satisfy it. I don't really know. I mean, it's going to be a stretch, because even if you win, then transferring that win into them getting it off your credit report, that's going to be the hard part, Mark. I don't know how he's going to do that. Now, you did it in a similar way, but was it on your credit report?
Yeah.
And they took it off?
Oh, yeah. That was part of the settlement.
Well, listen, try that. But first, just try protesting it. Just try that to see if you can get it off, okay? Just try that. John.
How are you doing?
You want to sue a sheriff's department, you said, right?
I'm not sure what action I can take, but I'll give you the short version. As a preemptive strike in my son's divorce, my son's ex-wife went to the sheriff's department and claimed domestic violence. Now, the sheriff's department turned around and didn't contact anybody else involved, and they took her word and her friend's word.
They do it every
time. Completely uninvolved.
They do it every time.
Right, and so, of course, that put him on a defensive move.
All right, hold on. Just hold on. John, I know where you're going. We're going to come back. We'll get some opinions on this, okay? Just hang on. And we'll talk about this coming up on the Troubleshooter Show. It is not unheard of that, unfortunately, for true victims, it puts a real cloud over domestic violence, because it is not a secret that women who are going through a divorce will often claim domestic violence to try to get the lead in the case, or to try to get a reason, or to try to justify it. We'll talk about it coming up.
How do I know that?
Would you ever know anything like that, Tom?
Me too. Police officers aren't immune from that either.
Sprinter? Blinker. Oh, Blinker, yeah.
Freeway system, off highway, a couple crashes. There's one right on 120th east of I-25. A brand new off highway crash coming in at Wadsworth and Quincy if you can't avoid the area. Back out on the freeway.
Cops are so afraid. Sometimes they make arrests when they shouldn't.
But it's almost impossible to sue them. They got everybody behind them.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, no matter what it is, if you don't make the arrest and something does happen after that, it's always the cop's fault instead of the idiot's fault.
You'll never pull that suit off.
The best time to get a new Ford truck, like F-150 with best.
So that's why cops are afraid to do it.
I was told by lawyers that you might win. It's going to cost you 25 grand, 2 years of your life.
I had a case from Golden Cops one time, a young kid, 19 years old, got in an argument with his girlfriend and put his arms up the doorway like this to block her, to tell her she can't leave until she explains why she's sleeping with this other guy. And she ducks up under his arm. He doesn't prevent her, but she calls the cops, and he ends up getting arrested for false imprisonment. I mean, like, 19 years old, he's got a DV, okay, for the rest of his life. It's just, but the cop was like, you know, something would have happened after that if I didn't arrest
Check
him.
IM. So, do you know if you take your cell phone and slam it down, it's domestic violence?
Yes, if it's her property or mutual.
Even your own property.
Yeah, because it's intimidating. But especially if it's anything to do with her property.
What's that? I don't think so. No.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Intimidation. Absolutely.
Harass, threaten, intimidate, molest.
If you take your phone, God damn it, she can get you.
Because she says I was in fear at that point. That's all it takes.
Okay, here's a question. Okay. If someone is uninsured, do you want to hear this ahead of time?
I'd love to. That's great.
If someone is uninsured, does John still take the case? I think this person has lots of money. Does he have ways of finding out if it's worth it?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and actually that's a good question, because I asked John the same thing, and he did a full asset check on these other phones.
Let's do it then.
Price on their premium LASIK experience. TLC uses the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology.
I'm going to drive over there. In fact, you don't need to call them anymore. I'll head right over to those people's house this weekend and call them out and tell them it's policy limits, baby, or I'm going to town right now.
They don't have anything to do with it.
Oh, they will when I'm done with it. I'll say my attorney, John Fuller, said to go ahead and kick your ass.
We're going to need some defense funds here real quick, right?
I'll have Lazera on the hotline.
Or you do the good cop, bad cop, and John will come there and hold you back, and then he goes,
yeah, good cop, bad cop.
Guys don't really talk about antiperspirant. Despite that, 91% of men plus care users recommend
they're just being assholes. They really are on Suzanne's deal.
I'll talk to you later about it. Yeah, I get the idea.
My girl likes the smell.
Sorry, I think it's quite masculine. My underarms aren't the worst thing at the gym. It's kind of like the Hooter Dam for an arm.
Okay, well.
Men plus care antiperspirant. Tough on sweat, not on skin.
APT presents what you consider when considering home security. An APT sign is more than a sign. It's a line of signs on one side.
what is this guy for all these pics that Suzanne sent, what's his complaint? Just a bad interior job?
Another one.
Tested, trusted, proven ADT.
With 36-month contract, the licensing and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Making America great again? As it turns out, a little harder than I thought. Making your wallet great again? Not so difficult.
What's he got for this board?
Yeah, he's pretty close.
I also recommend building a nice wall around your wallet. Where do you think the word wallet?
What's that?
$1,000 every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, it'll come.
On Denver's home station, 630 KHOW.
Tom was looking for somebody back when, back before the election to do.
Okay.
I have a question for John Fuller on email, so do you, Suzanne. You go first, Suzanne.
Okay, Tom, it says if someone is uninsured, does John still take the case? I think this person has lots of money.
Yep, that's the one we have to. Go
Does
ahead.
he have ways of finding out if it's worth it?
John?
Yes and yes.
Tell me what you mean.
So, I think I have an obligation to my clients to be realistic and to set reasonable expectations. If we have a defendant that I believe is judgment-proof, and yes, we have ways to do asset checks. We can look into people's backgrounds and try to see what assets may be out there and available. But if I believe that they're going to end up being judgment-proof, then as a practice, no. I'm not going to recommend that we go and sue this person just on principle, just so you can follow them the rest of their life.
How do you find if it's... Do you do asset investigation?
Yes, absolutely. We hire independent investigators to go out and do asset, checks on people just to find out and satisfy our due diligence on whether, those people are amenable to a judgment. So uninsured by, in and of itself doesn't disqualify it in my firm. It's just that it means we have to look extra hard at, the collectability of any potential judgment down the road.
303-713-TALK, 713-8255.
I want to bring some up real quick. Like I'm sure a lot of John's clients, Suzanne and I are using them right now. The first thing you find out, I said, hey, what are the policy limits and stuff? Because, of course, when someone runs into us, I'm sure I'm not different than most people. I think they owe me $1 gazillion. So I said, well, if their limit's only that much, how do we know if they have more money? And within 48 hours, John, you had every bit of information we needed to understand that these were policy limit people. They had no real assets.
So you go for policy limits.
That's right.
And you don't waste your time. And you know what? There's nothing that pisses people off more because they, given another circumstance, if somebody rich hit them, they could have hit pay dirt. You know that, John?
Yep.
It's terrible. It's terrible when somebody is injured for the... I'm not talking about gold diggers. I don't even want to talk about that. I'm talking about somebody who literally has ruined... Their lives are ruined, and this guy's got a $50,000 policy.
Or 25.
So we always look at, and we go through this analysis every time we even ponder an uninsured motorist claim, meaning not that they were uninsured, but we're looking at that coverage on our own policy. We look to determine whether or not the guy that was the defendant was adequately insured. So if somebody like Bill Gates or, some wealthy individual only had a minimal limits policy, then, no insurance company is going to give us consent to do that settlement. They'll go directly after that wealthy person to get the full measure of the damages.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. So if they're underinsured, you'll go after the person.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's good. Now, John wants to know about suing. Now, here's what happened. Okay? And John, unfortunately, as I said, for true victims of domestic violence, many women use domestic violence falsely as an accusation in order to get the upper hand. Now, I don't know what happened in your case. I'm just going to take you at your word. You're saying she made a false accusation of domestic violence at the sheriff's department. Then you said you want to sue them. Now, I don't know how you go from there to suing because I want to mention something. With domestic violence, it does not take any proof whatsoever for an arrest. No proof. All it takes is an accusation. Do you understand that? That's all it takes. So them arresting him, it's the thing that they have to do. And it is not something that you can sue them for. So keep going. What else?
Okay, so they went in on her word alone, basically.
That's
and
right.
Arrested
That's right.
my son.
Okay.
And we filed a complaint with the Sheriff's Department because their own policy says that they have to investigate all sides of the issue. And
not before the arrest.
Well, they admitted that yes, they breached their own policy.
John,
after the item.
John, I'm going to say something. Okay, I'm not trying to fight with you.
No, it's okay.
When they say investigate, that could be as easy as talking to another person. They don't have to do a thorough investigation, I promise you. And in fact, they even put down in the report, they don't even say so-and-so said. They just put down what they think happened. I'm telling you, the police are there for one thing, and that is to write up a convincing report as to why it's a good arrest. John, you do defense work. You know this is true. They don't write it from an objective point, do they?
No.
On purpose, because they're thinking down the road. They know, they remember being in court. They remember, so they write it like so and so appeared to be. They might even say appeared to be scared, frightened. Was struck in the face, or bruises a parent, or whatever. I mean, they go so far as it literally, and I hate to say this, but they kind of add their own words.
They go to school to learn report writing, Tom. It's not a secret that cops are taught how to write in a way that will stand up to courtroom scrutiny.
We have an ex-police officer right here. I'm going to talk to him. Now, I'm not saying police are bad guys, but man, when you show up at a place and a woman is saying this, or she makes a report, do you say no, that's not true? I mean, what do you try to disprove it at that point?
Well, you look for corroborating evidence, actually, and you need probable cause to make the arrest, but sometimes that's based on
probable cause.
Well, there's a level of suspicion. It goes from reasonable suspicion to probable cause and escalates from there. And kind of the line for making an arrest is at the probable cause point, which means there's some evidence that a crime was committed. All right, but it doesn't mean that's fact proof. That's up to a court to determine that.
So he's saying they didn't. I know where he's going. He wants to sue because he said they didn't follow their own policy in making the arrest. John, it's never going to work. Never.
Okay, so then the $100 question comes down to, is there any recourse against scam jobs like this? Because
hold on and we'll discuss it. Hold on. We'll discuss it, John. Okay? It's a good discussion.
Internal affairs.
I mean, yeah, but they didn't do anything wrong. That's what you have to understand, unless they fabricated the whole thing. Hold on, and we'll talk about that.
But there is nothing
We'll
wrong
talk about that coming up. I'm consumer advocate Tom Martino. It's finally time for some spring cleaning, so let's get those back tax issues cleaned out once and for all. Feel the fresh spring breeze without the mental burden of a tax lien or the IRS knocking at your door. If you owe back taxes, it's been years since you filed.
Transmission one, but I don't think so.
Yeah, but they're using it as probable
I think I was
cause
doing the show. Because I remember he goes, it's 303.
Tom, I'm in a field 6, but it's Mark from Cherry Hills. He said to tell you it sounded like his last name was Van Locks, but Van Lukes. Okay. It sounds familiar. Have we had him in before?
No, it's just somebody that I know. What does he need?
Here's the other thing.
An auto shop is holding his card hostage.
We think it's the same.
I want you to tell him this. I got his message originally.
Okay.
Never mind, I'll tell him on the air. This guy does not have email. He does not have texting. He does not have any presence
We have
other
a
than
few.
phone.
We know a few.
And I'm telling you that I'm not going to chase down people and call them and get voicemail. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you're not digital, you don't exist to me.
Yeah. I don't even leave a voicemail, hardly ever. Hardly ever, another email.
It's like I could help people a million times better, but no, I don't do that. Okay, then I don't do it.
The other thing this guy might be able to do is call and talk to a sergeant, particularly in investigations or detective.
They're going to arrest them. They'll never not arrest you.
Right.
And
the damage is done because that's on his record.
They're never going to not arrest you. I'm going to tell you something. 3 times before the thing that got me. 3 times. When my wife would overdrink and then she would hit the floor, right? When the medics would get there, she'd say, my husband did it, blah, blah, blah. 3 times this happened. But those were times when we had 5 and 6 people around. They'd say, nothing happened, 0. They didn't do anything. They would question me for up to an hour, then walk away. 3 times that happened. The one time we didn't have friends around, where she did it again, over drinking, but she didn't go out this night. She just called. 2 hours later, there was no one there. The same cop came to the door that was there 3 prior times, and I said, "Oh man," I said, "it happened again."
Yeah.
And he says, "Okay, where is she?" Blah blah blah. Sit down. Where are your friends? I don't have anyone. Game's over. Even though I swear to God, the police report would read exactly the same. He's trying to hurt me 3 times.
You know, I'm not going to deny it. I know that happens. And I know why it happens, because if they don't, and something happens later, or they go back in the departments, why didn't you arrest?
I said,
Why
look, you were here a month ago at the same fucking thing, remember? Yes, sir.
At the end of this
and I'll tell you something else. These new kids coming into law enforcement,
No,
they have less and less discretion. You know, back when I first started, we had some discretion. And now, a police officer's discretion is being taken away and eliminated.
It's terrible. It's terrible, man. I'm telling you. You know why it's terrible? For true victims.
Right.
It's terrible because you know what I think when I hear this now, domestic violence. I think, I wonder what she's lying about. It's terrible. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way, because I am sure that there are people that get the crap knocked out of them, and these guys should be. It's just terrible. I mean, when somebody has the nerve to do that, they don't understand the repercussions of justice.
Right. Right. And I've seen it happen in sexual assault accusations.
You know, I got it not just dismissed, I got it expunged, but it doesn't matter, I'm a public figure, it doesn't matter. For somebody else, it would go away completely. I mean, expunged it, because they wouldn't know about it.
Right.
God, it's such a sore spot.
And your notoriety puts the bonus on the officer to do something.
Hi, I'm Tom Martino. This is the Consumer Troubleshooter Show, and we solve problems, answer questions, take complaints, and make your life a little easier. And I got to tell you, we got a lot going on today, all right? A lot. We got John Fuller with us, Fuller Law. We've been talking about personal injury law. And do we have any other emails, Suzanne, from Live for John Fuller? And we basically are talking about anything near and dear to your heart and pocketbook today. We also have a guest with us from the referral list who does firearms training for safety and control and getting a permit, a concealed carry permit. It's required that you take a course. And you can find him, by the way, on Facebook. If you do the facebook.com and put a / and then concealed carry WDN. What's WDN? Is that your name?
That's my initials.
Yeah. W, Wayne, D as in Delta, Nelson.
He is in dashing debonair.
Yes, WDN. Now listen, I want to say something. He's on the referral list, so you can search there if you want to take this course. What does it cost?
The course is $150 a person.
That's not a lot.
He says it's great for kids, too.
How many hours?
Well, it's about, the classroom portion is about anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. But that includes a safety course along with it.
And then what do you do?
And then we go do live fire where you
really do?
Absolutely.
For that price?
Yes, because I think it's irresponsible to send somebody out without teaching them how to holster, how to draw.
I did not know that you did that part of it. That's great.
Absolutely.
All right, 303-713-TALK, 713-8255. We left off with a guy, and listen, I understand his frustration, okay? I'm just going to tell you that I had a problem, okay? And everyone knows it. And it was a outright false accusation, but here's the point. It's not up to the police officer to decide that. They make the arrest. You don't sue them for making the arrest. You don't. You can't sue them for making an arrest. So, John, I know you're pissed off because your son got arrested. But if he's not guilty, then he'll be found not guilty. So,
well, but it's not that simple, unfortunately.
Why?
Because as soon as you have an arrest of that nature, they put in restraining orders. And in this particular case, restraining order said no contact, whatever. His ex-wife started texting him, and he made the mistake of texting back. And so as soon as he texted back, That was a violation of the restraining order, and if he wanted to ever get custody or see his kids outside of anything but a therapeutic environment, they said he had to cut a deal because
oh no, John, I'm sorry,
end up
John,
with all sorts of stuff going on.
That is not true. I tell you, that is absolutely not true. So if he cut a deal, when you say cut a deal, did he plead to domestic violence?
He pled to criminal mischief, and it had a domestic violence rider.
Yep. So that's it. That's it. He's guilty. He pled guilty. There's no softening this. He pled guilty. He pleaded guilty. Well, you know what you do when you're innocent? You say no. You say take it to court. No, until it's dismissed. You say no. That's what you do.
That is what we tried to do.
And then you get it expunged.
The catch was that his children were at home during the supposed incident, and as a result of that, they also charged him, not her, with child abuse.
Oh, my God.
And so he had to cut the deal.
Well, no, John,
child abuse from being in there.
No, he didn't. All he had to do was go to court and win. He could go to court and win, John. Come on, man. That's what trials are. He doesn't have to cut a deal. No one has to cut a deal. If you're innocent, if you're not guilty, you don't have to cut a deal. You cut deals when you're guilty and you don't want to go through the hassle, or you're a little guilty. But if you did nothing wrong, you don't cut deals. And I'm not saying this to you because it's too late. I'm saying this for anyone listening. You do not cut deals when you are innocent. You just don't do it. You fight it. John Fuller, you were listening to this, and you've done some criminal defense work. I mean, now especially he can't sue. I mean, he wanted to sue. He couldn't sue anyway. But now his son even pled to it.
Yeah, and that's gonna play a huge role in any suggestion that the police agency was somehow at fault in this or negligent. You're just not going to get any traction with this kind of lawsuit.
Never.
The guilty plea is going to pretty well wipe out any suggestion that you didn't do anything. And if you're coming back now and saying, I didn't do anything wrong, but I pled guilty just because I was in a bad spot,
or I was forced to, it's not true at all.
Not gonna
and
fly.
The judge asks, doesn't the judge generally ask, are you sure you know what you're doing when you plead to this?
Yeah, the judge is going to ask for a factual basis. Well, you may have felt that way, but the judge is going to ask, is there a factual basis? And on some occasions, the defense attorney may waive the factual basis, but if they don't waive it, you're going to have to admit that there was. And in all but a very, very small number of cases, a judge just won't take a plea if there's not a factual basis or unless the requirement that the prosecution prove the factual basis is not waived.
He actually pled no contest. Which
it's the same thing. It's the same thing, man.
Almost
Come
no
on.
jurisdictions will even take a no contest plea on a
your
on a
son
DVD,
has screwed up his life. He has a criminal conviction right now of criminal mischief, and he has child abuse was left out, right?
They dropped the child abuse for the DV.
When the divorce came in, and this was what the plan always was, I suspect. When the divorce came in, the judge acted like he was guilty of everything they had originally charged him with.
It's too bad, man. So did he get any custody or any kind of visitation?
We're fighting it after the fact.
What do you mean after that? What did he get?
Well, he has to, and he had to start with visitation in a therapeutic environment at $90 an hour.
Oh my God! How
after doing
terrible!
This for about 6 months. He's trying to go back and get.
How long was he married? How long was he married?
10 years.
This is terrible.
Did you guys have attorneys at both the DR proceeding and the criminal proceeding?
No, he pleaded.
Yes, and the divorce attorney was worthless.
Well,
unfortunately.
why did you hire the person?
Yeah.
She actually came recommended. I should have known better.
I want to know about criminal defense. What criminal defense attorney would tell him to plead to criminal mischief?
After the restraining order was no question, he said he said before that you had a chance, but once the restraining order was brought in and he was charged with violating that there was no chance of him getting around the other. He said he could have gotten around 2 out of 3, but he said you're not going to get out of. You may not get out of the child.
That's true.
If he can show she texted him first.
No, that's not true. The restrained party is the defendant.
The other party is not restrained in any sense of the word. She can text him 150 times.
What did she text him?
Stuff about the kids.
Oh.
Right. And what he should have done would be to approach the court about modifying the restraining order to allow for communication strictly related to the kids. And the judge would do that.
Man.
They've done it 1,000 times.
John, the thing sucks, but, I don't know what to say, man. It's over. It's terrible. How old are the kids?
7 and 2.
And now he has...
It is what it is.
Listen, what did happen that night? Was she totally making up everything? Did anything happen?
Actually, my son and I got into an argument.
Did anything happen?
No. And that's what was so frustrating because and she reported it a month after the fact. I mean, I'm sparing you all the details. It's like so many other
She went
items.
there and said this happened last month?
Yeah.
And said what? That he hit me?
She said that he hit him. She said that he was angry, smashed her phone, all these other things. It was all made up.
Well, I don't know, John. You know what? You and your son. By the way, you and your son can spend the rest of your life fighting this, or you can just move on. What he has to do is now concentrate on being dad. Really. You got to fight that part of it. And trust me, when you're fighting for custody and visitation, the more fervent and the more passionate you are, the less likely it is you're going to get what you want. They look at that as being affirmation that he's violent and that he's a bad dude. I'm telling you, it's exactly the opposite. You just have to sit and take it. You do. I'm telling you, it's time to play humble. And it's time to eat it and then just do whatever it takes to get back to being a dad. It sucks, but that's the way it is. He dug himself a hole and climbed in it, and he buried himself. He did. He just did. And it's unfortunate. It is. I really mean that. It's unfortunate. He has to move on. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Is he able to talk to her now? Are they able to communicate?
Yes.
No restraining order.
No, they talk on the phone.
Okay.
And
is she friendly? Are they friendly?
Oh, yeah.
Is she friendly?
Is she the daughter or is she the ex-wife?
I mean, is she friendly? Would she be able to help him get better visitation by maybe, she doesn't have to say it was a lie, but saying, look, it wasn't as bad, I was upset or anything like that? Would she do anything like that at all?
Doubtful.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that, man. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. Let's talk to Mark in Cherry Hills about his car. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mr. Martino. How are you doing?
Mark, I just want you to know that I got your message, and I'm glad you're calling. And I want to say something that I absolutely positively, of all the people that I know, you frustrate me the most because you don't have a digital presence. And you probably don't realize how difficult it is when people want to talk to you. Do you realize the world texts right now, Mark, and they email? No, I'm serious, man.
No, you're right. You're right.
I swear to God that as soon as you called, I says, you know what? I wanted to text you right then and there and get details or email. So anyway, that being said, I just want you to know why apparently it may seem like, and that's for anyone who calls me. If you don't leave a phone number that can be texted, or if you don't leave email, do you know how difficult it would be for us to follow up? Anyway, so this car, what kind of car is it?
Well, let me just respond. I'm 70 years old, and my kids are finally getting me to text.
And you don't look 70. You're hip. And truly, if you do have a mobile phone now and you're going to do texting, please let me know off the air.
I'll do it.
What kind of car is this?
By the way, I want to talk to you. It concerns CNN. Okay. This was a 2004 Phaeton. It's a rare car, a Volkswagen Phaeton.
A Volkswagen Phaeton?
Phaeton.
Really? Never.
Very rare car, $120,000.
What? Wow.
Phaeton.
Okay.
That they no longer import to the United States.
Okay, so what about it?
All right. Well, it had some kind of an electrical problem, so we took it to the mechanics.
Yes.
They said they would trace it down. It would be a minimum of $200 and a maximum of $800, and I agreed.
Now, this was an electrical problem, right?
Yes.
Because that would have been, man, I could have told you where to go had you texted me beforehand.
This is almost the exact same call over the same company from a different...
From when you were doing the show when Tom was on vacation in March.
Mark, you never talked to us about this. This is another...
The problem is identical.
I had called in a few weeks ago when your replacement was
That's Mark here. Okay, so it's about this company.
They were going to call the man on the air.
Did we call him?
And he came on and told his side.
What did he say?
I thought Mark was made aware of that. Mark, the caller.
I never knew any of that.
What did he say? Do you remember, Mark?
Are we sure it's the exact same caller?
Yep.
Yeah, the owner agreed. No, the owner agreed to bring the bill down to like $1,400.
I was never on the air.
Okay.
This is a different guy.
Never. So it has to be a different guy.
Yeah, but it's the exact problem.
Hold on. Let me ask you this, Mark. You said you called in when my replacement was here, and that's Mark over here. This is so.
And then he put me on hold, and you guys were good. Suzanne was out of town, and her gentleman colleague was going to put me on the air and call the owner. And then he asked me a question, and I didn't know the answer. He said, look, call John Fuller first. Make sure the answer to that question is correct. So before we went on the air and you called them, I called John Fuller, and John Fuller said, absolutely, they have no right to call your car. Call Suzanne when she gets back, and that was a couple of weeks ago. But I was never on the air with this company.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. Your car is with this place, which is called what? What's the name?
303 Motorsports.
303 Motorsports, and what's the bill?
Okay.
How much is the bill?
To make a long story short, I agreed to an $800 maximum. They agreed to have the car for
and how
days.
much is the bill?
They had it for 2.5 months. The bill is almost $2,200.
Okay.
This is so weird. I am telling you, this is identical.
It is the same problem. It is. It's the same one. What Mark is saying is he was never on the air with the follow-up. He never heard the guy.
Correct.
You never got back to him. He doesn't know what's going on.
Correct.
And you said, Mark, the guy agreed to reduce the bill to what?
I believe it was $1,400, which made perfect sense to me at the time. I forget how we got there. You had some other work you agreed to outside of that $800, right?
No, I didn't. But
I don't think it's the same guy. So I got to look at notes because I'm gonna freaking go crazy here.
Okay, so hold on, Mark on the phone here. I wanted to ask you one thing. You said a maximum of $800. First of all, if you dropped it off, the Auto Repair Act of Colorado says when you drop it off, you're entitled to a written estimate if he's going to go over a certain amount. So it doesn't matter what you guys talked about. He can't charge you willy-nilly without having a record of it in writing.
That's what John Fuller said.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Let's try to figure this one out. Plus more coming up. I'm Troubleshooter Tom Martino. Ideal home loans for your next ideal home loan. And what I'm talking about is home mortgages. Right now, interest rates have dropped. It's a great time to refinance. It's a great time to buy. And if you're looking for a loan company, go directly to a mortgage banker, someone who makes their own loans direct and they do their own underwriting, and they can get you approved quickly. They have pre-approvals even if you're shopping for a home. They have rate guarantees, which mean if rates go down, you get refinance free of all lender fees. And they'll do that every single time you refi. They give you a 2-year guarantee. And they have credit optimization, making sure that the little things in your credit that can be fixed quickly are done before they even submit it for underwriting, so you can get even better pricing. You will never find a better company for fighting for you when it comes to loans. IdealHomeLoans.com, 303-867-7000, 867-7000.
This report is brought to you by One New GNC.
Big delays on the drive downtown. There's a crash blocking the right shoulder northbound.
Why did we ask John? Why did you tell him to call John Fuller?
See, sometimes people just call me for random
because they heard John
questions, and I'm nice to them, I talk to them, I give them all sorts of free legal advice, and then anyway, I told the guy, look,
I got Lazera in 30.
you're probably
Tomorrow, much the same as today, partly sunny, a shower
you
or
know,
two.
this may be one of those cases where the court of public opinion would be a better way to resolve this.
I kind of worked him in, if that will count, but probably I can do him.
That's exactly what happened. I got it.
You know what I'd like to do on the way out? Can I do Plumline now and do that, him on the way out?
I'm surprised it's the same guy.
Thank you.
It's the same guy.
He doesn't sound the same that I can remember. These 71, I said, you were on.
You know, I'd like to tell you about Plumline Services for plumbing, heating, cooling, and electric, because this is the go-to company for me when I have problems, and you should call them too. I love the special they have on heating and air. If you're getting a new system, you'll get more than $2,000 in savings. I want you to call for details, but it includes a $500 discount for a high-efficiency system, a $500 upgrade in accessories, plus a discount of more than $1,000 direct from Plumline, and then you have a 10-year parts and labor warranty. That's parts and labor. Remember that. So nothing is paid for in 10 years. Think about that. Then you have up to $1,370 from the utility company for doing the efficiency, and then you have financing if you want for 3 years with no interest. It's unbelievable. Call now for plumbing and heating, or for, of course, anything else that you need from Plumline Services, including drains. Remember, they have drains, 93 or it's free. That means if they can't clog it, they don't charge you, and it's $93 max. 303-586-1086. 303-586-1086. PlumlineServices.com. Stop high energy bills before they start. Your home needs a champion. Recommended by more than 40,000 customers. Guaranteed for life.
That Volkswagen's a good-looking Volkswagen.
They are.
I just put it off. Sorry. But it's a good look.
Comfortable year-round and save you big on energy bills. Go to getchampion.com.
So you remember talking to him?
I did talk to the guy. This guy that's saying
Mark
he called
Valens.
me. He called. He was a nice older guy, and he had like 2 or 3 different legal issues that he wanted to run by me. And I'm just like, not my damn circus, not my monkey. But I said, you know, they've got to stay within a certain percentage of the estimate, and you know, if they're not, and I suggested, you know, this might be something that would be better handled on the air, you know, and get some exposure, and I'd give Suzanne a call back next week and see if she can't take care of it.
All right, let's do Lazara in third.
His other issue is something else I can't remember.
Just come out. I'm going to work it into this content.
Okay.
Breathe filthy.
Donald Trump makes my skin crawl.
Dirty. Disgusting news topic.
Do me a favor, let's do the promo during the third break here, because we've only got one live, and let's do the promo in the third break.
Oh, you want me to do a promo so you can get out of
Yes,
here?
I can get out of here.
Okay.
Denver's top station.
Making America great again? As it turns out, a little harder than I thought.
Failure of Trump care.
Making your wallet great again? Not so difficult.
Listen to win $1,000 every hour on the hour.
I also recommend building a nice wall around your wallet. Where do you think the word wallet's being done, right? Believe me.
$1,000 every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
You never got the other live email?
On Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW. Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the word WIN to 200-200. You'll receive a confirmation text. Standard message and data rates apply. Text WIN to 200-200.
Hi, I'm Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Listen, the guy who called in needed help for his son. I wanted to mention that is one reason why you really need to pick a criminal defense attorney carefully. If you have a follow-up question, Joe Lazara said he would answer it for you. He's a criminal defense attorney, and he's been listening, okay? So if you're still listening, Joe Lazara, he's a great guy, and he can take care of problems like this. You see, there are cases where people are truly not guilty, and before you make a stupid move, you need to consult attorneys if you're charged with anything, including DUI. Now, I'm not justifying drinking and driving or anything, but there are times that you need help. In fact, with DUI, you always need help. Whether you're guilty or innocent doesn't matter, just to get through the system. 303-429-6200. Just remember, Joe Lazara. Remember that name. Even if you go to referralist.com and just put in Joe, you'll find him. That's 303-429-6200. And we have John Fuller with us from Fuller Law, and we'll get back to him in a minute. We do have another emailed question I wanted to get to. But we're working on this thing with this
303 Motorsports.
303 Motorsports. Mark, you remember
Okay.
I just listened to it. I went and listened to it.
Okay.
It's him.
Now, here's the deal. The guy said he would lower the price to $1,600.
Yes.
But still, here's what I want to know. If you drop a car off,
we talked about this in length. He had two invoices.
They have to do a written estimate.
He had one, and if you pull them back up, one
this
of them.
This is Mark. Yeah.
Hey, Mark. One of them was with the battery, which was like $500-600, right?
Correct.
And then you have that invoice plus the other $800 is about where we ended up.
That's incorrect. The problem is the battery, and this has been confirmed by my last conversation with 303 Motorsports.
Yeah, just go ahead.
The battery was new and it was under warranty, and they got it from the dealer with no charge. So the total amount for everything
wasn't there two batteries?
A maximum of $800. Yes, the second one was fine. There's two batteries.
All right, just pull them up.
A battery and okay. So here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, you think he shouldn't have charged you more than $800? Is that really where we are right now?
Without additional approval from me, that's correct.
Okay, so would you have given approval?
No, I would not. I'm selling. We have two of these cars. As I've told him when I took the car in, we're selling this car.
Okay.
And so the bottom line here would be to put a battery minder on the car and leave it alone. So
just follow the math through.
Tom, to be fair to the man, I probably would have gone up to like $1,000 or something, but that's it.
But here's the point. You're not accusing him of doing work you didn't need or anything. You're just saying, I said, look, man, 800 max, and he went to 2,200. Is that it in a nutshell? Okay. So I just want to keep it simple. No one's accusing Scott at 303 Motorsports. No one's accusing him of doing anything bad or improper. We're just saying that it was all down to whether or not he had permission or authorization. The work itself we're not disputing. Is the car still at 303 Motorsports?
Yes.
Okay, so Scott, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Scott. Again, we're not talking about anything done intentionally or anything done shoddy. We're simply saying, hey, he said $800. How do you go to 2,200?
There were multiple conversations, and Mark and I do disagree on this. And our last conversation over a week ago was one where we continue to have what I believe are communication issues, because that's what this breaks down to.
But let's get back to the repair. When you said 800, did you call to increase it?
Yes.
Okay. And according to the Colorado Auto Repair Act, you have to have the time and the date.
Yep.
And the initials. Okay. So you have a time and a date that you called him and you said it's not going to be 800 anymore. It's going to be this.
I have two recorded phone calls.
Okay. Okay. So what did you say in those phone calls?
There were two separate phone calls. The initial was for the battery repairs and the initial diagnosis, and then the second.
What did you say in the first one? Do you recall, just roughly?
The first one was around $900 on the basis of if the battery was not going to be covered from Volkswagen because it was not purchased through us.
Okay.
And I needed him to authorize that amount in the event that we were not able to get a warranty coverage from him.
And he agreed to it.
He agreed to that.
But then did you end up getting the battery?
About a month and a half, 2 months later. So that was after he had authorized.
I understand that, but that was 900 minus what then for the battery?
$400.
About 400. So that was a net of 500 there.
Mm-hmm.
But you did get approval for the 9. I get it.
Correct.
Then the second phone call, what did you do?
The second approval was for the $800. It could be $100 to $800, and because that was the steps needed to find the root cause.
So 800 and 500, if you add them up, come to 1,300.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what you agree?
Those two separate charges, yes.
So you would hold on. Then you would be fine with $1,300.
But this is where there's multiple steps, and what I would like to do, because we can talk this. Mark and I have tried to resolve this, and we haven't. And
well, I can help you resolve it, but here's what I want to know. First of all, Mark, without a lot of detail, I just need to know, do you dispute those two phone calls and the nature?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the last time I talked to Scott, he said he had 4.
Well, no, I know. That's why, Mark, I don't want to get into that. Mark, really, I don't want to, because I don't want to. I want to know, the first phone call for he said $900 unless we can get the battery. Are you saying that did not take place?
let's see. Yes, $800 plus the battery, which was warranted.
No, what I'm saying is,
Yes.
he said he had a phone call where he said, Mark, you have battery issues. It could cost $900, and we'll try to get it under warranty. That was a net then of $500. Are you disagreeing?
That did not, Tom. Let me answer your question. That did not take place. Let me just say the following. I had one conversation regarding any kind of money, and never any other conversation regarding money. And I would ask Scott, and I hereby give him legal permission, to play any recording he has on the line where I authorized anything above $800. And if he'll do that, I'll be glad to pay whatever number there's there.
Okay,
That's
so
absolute bull.
so you're saying that very first phone call
was the only one?
No, Scott, you made that first phone call and said it was going to be around $900 for the battery, right?
Correct.
And that phone call was how many days after he dropped it off?
That was within a week of him dropping it off.
Now, Mark, you're telling me that never happened.
There was never a $900 figure.
What did he do? What was the phone call about?
Phone call was a max. He said it would be $200 to $800, maximum of $800. I said, I'm not going to go over that because
that's for the battery.
Because I'm going to sell the car.
But that was for the battery.
That did not include the battery. And whatever the battery was to be charged, I would pay that in addition to the $800. But I said I believed it was under warranty.
Then he said he has a second phone call. Right, I understand that. So that one did turn out to be $500 plus the battery. So that one is correct. You both, even though you disagree on how it happened, the net result was the same. You said you'd pay up to $800 with the battery under warranty, and you ended up paying $500 with the battery under warranty. So that one, no matter what we say, did not harm you. Now, the second phone call he said he made, how long after that? When did you make the second phone call, Scott?
Second phone call was probably 2 weeks after that initial phone call.
And then you said what in that phone call?
That was we had performed the additional steps. We got to the point where we did verify that there was a current draw, and that was where we needed the up to $800 diagnosis to find the end result of that current draw.
Okay, so he said it was fine?
He said, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so now that this is where we are right now, is that the first phone call is really not in dispute. I mean, it is in dispute in a way, but the numbers kind of jive. Mark said he was willing to pay $800, not including the battery. He ended up paying $500, not including the battery, because the battery was covered under warranty. Now we're at the second phone call where Scott says he upped it another $800. Did that take place or not? We'll find out. And oddly enough, it's time to do a commercial for Pro Auto Care. Now, again, you know, I'm not playing that game where I say, hey, you should have gone to Pro Auto Care. Here's the deal. We're not accusing 303 Motorsports of doing any shoddy work or anything. That's just a different thing altogether. But I want to tell you something. These things can be prevented by doing things properly. Okay? And we love and take pride in the referral list for auto repairs, because we believe our people do things properly. We believe that problems like this can be minimized. Now, I'm going to tell you, even the good people on the referral list get complaints from time to time, and it all boils down to communication. I love Al Aramis and his way of communicating. He does a lot by email and texting, especially when it comes to, you know, intervals, service intervals, what you need for your car, when you need it. I call him my car nanny. I really love taking my car there, and I have taken advantage of that free roadside assistance. You get that in between every repair with Pro Auto Care. Free roadside assistance. Give them a call for maintenance, repairs, any urgent issues. 303 Pro Auto. 2 locations near Evanston I-25 or near Bowles and Santa Fe. 303 Pro Auto is the number. 303 Pro Auto. And the website is 303proauto.com.
From the L&L Heating and Air Conditioning Traffic Center, this report is brought to you by One New GNC.
What do you think?
You are literally having the same conversation I had with him.
Okay, but
It comes down to $1,600.
Did he say the phone calls were recorded?
He did say that they were recorded.
So he didn't tell me that.
He told me that.
And Scott said they were recorded. I called him out on it. I'd say, let's hear the phone calls. It's probably going to make this caller out to be a liar, and that's going to be the end of it.
I don't think he's a liar. I think he's a little...
Well, same thing. He's not going to be correct about his recollection of those phone calls.
This Mark guy never realized he said he was never on the radio.
Sitting at 56.
I know he was on the radio.
He was trying to, I don't know what he was trying to say there.
No, he said that. He told me that when I talked to him here. He says, I wasn't on the radio.
Yeah, I know.
But he didn't remember talking, not to Tom, but to you. You would only talk to somebody on the radio.
I know.
Hashtag 1UGNZ.
I don't know what the deal is here. But I'll tell you this, I got the owner to agree to take $1,600. I thought it was done and over.
So he called back on Friday, which was car day.
Yeah.
And he wanted to come back because he was busy and everything. He was a very nice guy.
He's just nice, but he was just...
You got Aurora Ortho at 30.
Just saying all the things, yours can be the one that matters most.
But he said that. He says, we record everything.
So the guy, when he called me, I remember now, he started out by saying, I think I have a couple of lawsuits I want to talk to you about. Okay? But you're just like, all right, here we go. You know? And,
5 seconds.
you know, I'm like, this
Okay, guys. Let's talk about getting a beautiful smile as an adult.
It might be easier than you think. It used to be you get braces for years and years and years. You don't want to do that now, right? Or you get veneers. Do you know what veneers cost up to $3,000 a piece? You could spend more than $50,000 to get a beautiful smile just addressing, you know, the teeth that show. It's unbelievable how expensive things can be. And again, none of that is natural. You could get some problems with your palate being too thin or too narrow. Well, you're not going to get surgery at this age. Well, Dr. Kent Lawson has pioneered the new orthodontics, requiring no surgery and no extractions to get a beautiful smile, even over the age of 40 or 50 or 60. And it only takes from, listen to this, from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the severity of your case. Remember that. Up to 2 years only. And we're talking about a fraction of the cost of veneers. He does natural palate expansion, natural jaw alignment, and natural teeth straightening with mouthpieces and certain kind of techniques that require only a small amount of time, if any, in braces. And when you do have braces, they're Invisalign. It's an unbelievable technique that will save you time and money and get you a beautiful smile. And when your jaw is aligned and your bite is proper, you know what happens? Health problems like sleep apnea or TMJ go away. 303-690-0100. 303-690-0100. Look for Aurora Orthodontics and TMJ on my referral list at referrallist.com.
If you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at 630KHOW.
An iHeartRadio station.
Hi, Tom Martino here. Listen, this can get very complicated, but it all comes down to whether or not he got authorization. That's really what it's about. Did he get authorization? I mean, yes or no. So, I know Mark wants to tell me other experiences and why he feels he's not being genuine or truthful, and I understand that. And I understand people want to build their cases, but I really need to concentrate on the very specifics. So now we're down to the second phone call, the additional 800. Did that phone call happen? And then after we do that, that only brings it up to 1,300. So I want to ask Scott a question. Let's say Mark said, okay, you know, maybe I did approve another 800. That still brings the bill to 1,300 total, Scott. How does it get from there up to over 2,000? Oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong. I'm sorry. Chandler, I'm sorry. Scott, go ahead.
All right. Great question. And so there's a timeline for each one of these things. First phone call took place, it was $900. Second phone call took place, it was $800.
Got it.
Brings us to $1,700. The warranty of the battery took a substantial
I understand, but how did the additional charges come in, no matter what?
There was a third conversation related to, hey, we're at the end of the $800, and the question was...
Was that a phone call?
It was a phone call.
And it was recorded?
This is one that is not recorded.
Okay. And what did you tell him in that phone call?
At that phone call, it was a very short phone call, and this is one where I accept responsibility on it because I wasn't specific. And it was a short phone call, said, hey, we're at the end of the $800. We're really close, but we don't have it solved at this point.
So then what?
And his question was, is it fixed? And I said, no, it's not. And he's like, well, call me when it's fixed. And I said, do you want us to keep going? And that was the end of that phone call.
So that was kind of hazy. That was kind of hazy.
Yep,
okay, gotcha. Now, just hold on. And again, I really appreciate this. Mark, I have a very simple question. Do you acknowledge that that second phone call took place where he said, hey, you know, we got another $800 here?
Are you asking me, Mark?
Yeah.
No, I do not. And I want to just say the following. There's only one phone call where I authorized any amount of money.
That was the first. I understand.
And if he will play,
I understand. You said it. You said it.
Pay it.
I understand. You said that.
Absolute.
Okay.
Fantasy.
You said it. So Scott, you said you recorded the first and second phone call, right?
Yes, I did.
Man, I want to get him. We'll solve this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be one of my suggestions.
Thank you. Can you email them to me?
I will have to pull them from our phone call log. I will have them for you before Friday.
Man,
I know that's when you have your auto day.
Yeah, that would be great, Scott, because if I just want to hear the phone calls.
Yeah, and I would say you're going to have to edit them because a couple of them are pretty long.
I will. I'll take care of it. I really, if you just send me raw files, or if they're too long, you can Dropbox them. I'll edit them. I'll portray this.
What's the email?
I'm going to give it to you off the air. Hold on. Okay. And I'm going to do it in a positive light or in a truthful light. In other words, I really just want to solve this thing. And Mark, he's going to send me the phone calls, and we'll get back to you.
Now he's going to send you recordings, right?
Right.
Perfect.
Okay, man. Thank you very much. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. Anyway, I do have another question here for John Fuller, Fuller Law. It's email, and where is it? Is not. Okay. Where is it? It said some. Doggone it! I can't find it now. It was something about. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I have seen commercials time after time where lawyers are bragging about their awards or telling you that they care, and he wants to know if you had to sell yourself, what would you say about yourself? Why should people call you?
Well, I mean,
that's a fair question. Why should people call you?
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, the decision of who you pick has got to really be, a personal one to you. And
here's what he says, by the way. I couldn't find his email. I felt bad. It says, I always see the commercials for PI attorneys, but I want to ask you directly, in your own words, Tom, shut up. It says in parentheses, why you?
The Tom, shut up part.
Like
so here's the deal. I have a law firm that consists of one attorney and my staff. I provide personal one-on-one service to my customers. If you want to go be one of 1,200 customers of one of the big guys on TV, then have at it. You're going to get a certain level of service that's, commensurate with the firm providing 1,200 cases worth of service. If you want to have a law firm that knows you when you walk in the front door and yet has a consistent track record of success indicating that we are just as good at getting the money out of the insurance companies, then I'm your guy.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. I mean, try doing a commercial like that. One of 12. Why? Do some of these firms truly have 1,200 clients?
Yes, absolutely.
Holy crap! All right, what's going on with Chandler? Chandler, what's going on?
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
I just wanted to call in. I had an experience. I'll try to make this as short as I can. So I bought Kaiser Permanente medical insurance.
Yeah.
And ended up needing a hip replacement.
Ooh.
And 2 days before the actual hip replacement, Kaiser informs me that I'm not insured. Long story short, they weren't going to do anything about it. I called the Integra Group just on a last, breath attempt because my finances were correct. The Kaiser was incorrect. And I just wanted to put out there that John at Integra went way beyond the average attempt to help me out. Got all the players involved and really stepped up and didn't have to delay.
You know what? I appreciate that when people call in. Thank you so much, Chandler. I love Integra Insurance. I love them. They help me all the time. They help clients. That's what brokers should do. Dave, I'm so sorry for the wait. What's going on, Dave?
Hello?
Dave, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good. I'm so sorry for the wait. What can we do for you?
Oh, that's okay. No problem. My 20-year-old son just bought a used car about 3 weeks ago from a car dealership down here in Canyon City.
Okay.
And I was with him when he picked it up, and they told him that they had put new front struts on it, rotated the tires.
Did they tell him before or after he bought it?
Right when we was driving it, before he drove it away. This is what was done.
So it wasn't it wasn't a point of sale. Okay. In other words,
no.
It wasn't done to convince him to buy it.
No, not at all. This
Okay,
is
gotcha.
a courtesy, like this is what we did to it.
Gotcha.
You know, the front struts, rotate tire, change
Right.
oil, and I think it was
Yeah.
a serpentine belt.
Right.
Well, it's about 3 weeks later now. He was on North Nevada and Colorado Springs on Sunday.
Yes.
And there was a violent shaking on the front end of his car. Steering wheel's going left and right. And before he could get off to the shoulder of the road, the front tire came off, and it happened to hit a Colorado Springs police car in traffic there. So, to make a long story short, the studs were loose. They weren't tightened up to GM's torque specifications on that particular car. It's a 2009 HHR.
Were they replaced as he said they were?
No, not the lug nuts. It was the two front struts.
I'm asking you. He said they replaced the struts. Were they replaced?
Oh yeah, the struts were replaced,
But not tightened. But not tightened properly.
No, the struts are part of the suspension.
I understand that.
Not the studs.
But you said, okay, I might have misunderstood. I thought you were saying struts. So nothing happened to the struts. You're saying the studs were not tightened properly.
Exactly.
The lug nuts.
Front wheel, the lugs, all 5 lugs had.
So when they put the tires back on, they did not do it properly.
Obviously not.
All right, hold on then. Just hold on that. I really have to take this break pretty quickly. If you're looking, oh, by the way, Mark, did you go back to Art of Granite? Because you said you were going back there.
Yeah, we ordered cabinets last Friday.
Okay. Cabinets direct from the manufacturer. You shop around like a dog. Tell me about the pricing. Seriously.
It's great pricing.
Okay, so he does his granite wholesale, and he charges only for the fabrication and installation. On the cabinets, of course, he doesn't charge wholesale. He charges above he goes direct from the manufacturer. He's a distributor. Suzanne, what did you think?
Oh, I love the cabinets, and I'm going there tomorrow to pick out my granite.
Okay, now, if this is the second time they've used them, we absolutely send our friends and family, and we go ourselves to Art of Granite because of the way he does business. Remember, all of the stone or granite or anything you do for your counter is wholesale, the material, and then he charges for the fabrication and installation. And then anything you do in the kitchen, you get the bathroom free. He has cabinets and countertops of all kinds. Now, I want to tell you that it all starts with preliminary design by phone. You can take pictures and send measurements. He'll give you a price that's pretty close enough to get you to the showroom. And then when you have specifics, he will give you a rock-solid price that will not change. Then he goes to your house in templates and finishes the job. From the time you send him that photograph to the end, it's anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, depending on the complexity of the job. 303-386-5919. People love Art of Granite. Find out why. artofgranite.net. 303-386-5919.
This report is brought to you by One New GNC.
Let's start off with the good news. That earlier crash downtown on northbound I-25 at 23rd, that's been cleared out of the way. All lanes and the shoulder are open. It's starting to...
Yeah, I had to scribble it.
Good news there. The good news elsewhere is there's no other stalls or accidents being reported on the freeway system at this time. In fact, no major delays on the highway as you drive across town.
David Selzer tomorrow.
Afternoon showers possible today with a high near 58. Tonight showers early and a low of 30. Tomorrow partly sunny, more showers. A high near 60. Right now, mostly cloudy in Denver and 56. With your traffic and weather, I'm Pete Wagner, 630 K-How.
Balance starts at your center. Find it at GNC. Save 20% when you buy 2 and 30% when you buy 3 on select vitamins, fish oil, probiotics, and herbs. Change begins here. Don't miss out. Sale ends May 3rd.
I'm just going to ad-lib it because I don't have anything down. So if you need to get it done quickly. Do I put it in audition?
Yeah, put it in audition.
Okay, I'm ready. I'll just try it. Ready? You ready? Okay, here I go.
Of the few companies that have their own drain division that literally do their own excavation, their own replacement, their own repairs, and as a result, they don't have any markup. They're not a middleman. They do it all direct. They will give you free second opinions. You could save thousands and thousands of dollars by calling them. Now, they do plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, and drains. Give them a call, 303-436-2530. 303-436-2530. And don't forget, free second opinions on drains and also $99 mainline cleaning. These are licensed plumbers at plumblineservices.com. 303-586-1086. 303-586-1086.
We all know how important it is to our physical health to exercise.
Our bodies crave movement. Taking a walk, going to your favorite yoga class, hiking, and biking are all fantastic ways to keep us healthy and active. But if you suffer...
You already answered this question. Who handles the cases? Do you have
and missing out on all the things you love to do, the experts at Swedish Medical
But I'll talk about it if you need to buy some time.
Well, no, I mean, that's fine. I just want to... A lot of people just don't like it, man. Everything has to do with communication that I hear about.
Yeah, I'll answer that.
Is fellowship trained to be an expert on foot and ankle. She'll share medical advice with you on keeping your ankles strong and feet functioning, and how to correct problems using both surgical and non-surgical options. The free seminar is Wednesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m.
That's a blind set here.
See you online, so please register at orthophysicians.com. That's orthophysicians.com.
Making America great again?
So many.
There's no such thing as chemical weapons.
Sean Hannity.
Listen.
Assad got rid of his chemical weapons.
Today at 1.
The world cannot tolerate. This is America acting. It's a message.
On Denver's talk station. 630 K-How.
By the way, approvalreverse.com for your reverse mortgages. The only one I trust in this business, Joan Sullivan and her team, to tell you the truth, because they're good for some, not for everyone. 303-771-3528. And I have an email for John Fuller, and I do want to get to the phones, but I'll answer this quickly because they want to know about legal assistance. Do you actually handle the case directly and talk to people? Do you have legal paralegals? What is your ratio? How do you handle that?
Well, sure, Tom. So let me just first say I can't do what I do without the paralegals that I have. Okay. But with that being said, I run a very tight ship.
So you know every case?
Every case. And you don't get signed up at my firm without sitting down with me.
And do you look over each case each day?
We talk about everything that we do with any of our cases. But you only have to look at my reviews to see that my staff members play a vital role. And they continually receive praise from my clients.
I guess people don't want to be...
is awesome.
People don't want to be pushed off to an assistant. I know what they're talking about.
Right. But if you've got an attorney saying, I handle every single aspect of every single case, that attorney is going to be incredibly limited.
Or lying.
Yeah. One of the two.
All right. 303-713-TALK, 713-8255. On this email, does One Clear Choice Doors do broken springs? Only broken springs. I do not need a door. Yes, they do. Okay? You want a quick answer? That you can call them for even a hinge or whatever. They do one. They do a lot of stuff. And no, an inspection cannot. His second question was there a way to tell this with that free inspection? No. You can never tell when a spring is going to break. They all eventually break. OneClearChoiceDoors.com, 565-6409. Dave, you know, here's what I hear you saying. Your son bought a car. They promised they did some work. Obviously, in doing the work, they did not put the wheel on properly, and it came off. Are they responsible? That's what you're going to ask.
Correct.
John Fuller, what do you think? If they did repairs on his car, he bought it, and now the wheel came off.
Did those lug nuts completely come off of those studs, Dave?
Yes, they did, and they you could tell they backed away off there. The threads were all stripped in the back of
But it was about 3 weeks.
But there's no way you're ever going to be able to tell now what those lugs were torqued to when they were originally put back on, are you?
But isn't it reasonable to say they shouldn't have come off?
I think it's probably more reasonable to suggest that they need to be periodically retightened after they've been put back on.
But this was only 3 weeks after he bought it. So, Mark, what do you think? Do you think they have any responsibility?
3 weeks later is a stretch.
How much damage?
Well, the preliminary estimate right now is $1,500 because the tire took off the fender. It ruined the rotor. It needs new studs.
How old is How old's the car?
It's an 09 H8.
How many miles on it?
120,000.
And he bought it for how much?
5,000.
Okay. So the whole point is they didn't put the wheel on properly. Did you call them? What did they say?
They don't want nothing to do with it. They won't talk. And the thing is, this is the fourth car I've dealt with.
Here's what I think, Dave. We can call them for you, and we'll come back on car day. Suzanne, are you there? I want to tell her and in worst case scenario, if you did a small claims, I think you could get something. I'm thinking, Mark, if they did the work, okay, and they can see the struts have been replaced, right, Dave? You could, but the whole idea is the wheel came off. If you have a witness, do you have a witness? I mean, I guess they may not doubt the wheel came off, but if it came off 3 weeks later, I'm sure that it shouldn't have done that. And I think that if you would have tightened that wheel, it wouldn't have come off. You never have to recheck them. I just don't think.
No, that's the thing. And the thing is, he's 20 years old.
Yeah, I understand it. That doesn't matter. But
and he got a 2.6.
The thing is, if a regular place removed my tire for brakes or anything, any other place, and my wheel came off a week or 2 or 3 later, I think I would look to the service department. I would. Wouldn't you, Mark? If you were at a place and they took the wheel off, put it back on, and that wheel fell off, wouldn't you be upset?
3 weeks just seems so long.
How many miles, more importantly than time, how many miles did your son put on that car in the 3 weeks?
It was 1,800.
Oh, my gosh. 1,800 miles?
Right.
That might be hard. Listen, we'll give the dealer a call. We'll try to discuss it on car day. If it doesn't work, you know, you don't have a lot to lose by doing that. Small claim score. John Fuller, 303-597-4500. Just search Fuller Law on my referral list, or it's johnrfuller.com. And don't forget, Wayne Nelson, WDN Firearms Training on the referral list.
Rates are still low. Save thousands and have lower payments. Take aim.
Text me whoever to call or something.
No, I will. I'm going to have you at. I'm going to have a meeting for my favorite clients, my best clients. I'm serious, because I want you guys. Then we don't have to repeat everything. But they'll take care of you. And any question you want. And you know what?
But I'd like to sit down with them, have them go over my stuff.
Do you have a dashboard? Okay. Let me find. I'll do that right now. Then I'll do that right now. That's a good idea. Let's go downstairs.